Noon Report with me, Pugs Moran. I do this every Monday through Friday, noon till 2 o'clock-ish, maybe. Sometimes a little bit later. It all depends, because what we cover here is the breaking news, the hot topics, the trends, headlines. Whatever it is that's happening in the world today, I bring it to you. Hold on. I got to get the chat room going. Hold on. Sorry. Come on into the chat room. Join in. There we go. All right. Now, first person into the chat room wins my eternal respect. No, I've just married the chat room, so now everybody's together. Come on, I see you one at a time. Grab them beanbag chairs and form that soul circle of life as we embark on a journey to make the world a better place. I'm giving it to Rainy Days. Rainy Days was the first that I saw inside the integrated chat room. Hi, Cameron. Hi, Al, Byron, Leslie, Jeff. Everybody's here. Sometimes I feel like, remember on Romper Room? Do you guys remember that on Romper Room? I don't know, maybe I'm just too old. But there was a show called Romper Room. And really, by today's standards, all it was somebody put a camera in a nursery school classroom. That was really it. There wasn't anything, But Miss Sally was mine. There were a bunch of different Romper Room ladies, throughout time. Mine was Miss Sally. That's who I remember. If you're a year or two older than me, you might remember somebody else. If you're a year or two younger than me, you might remember somebody else. But my Romper Room lady was Miss Sally. And at the end of the show, this was the draw, man. This was the gimmick. This was whatever producer came up with this. He just knew how to connect with kids. So the gimmick was, she would pull up this mirror, and she would look in the mirror, and she would pretend like this mirror allowed her to see into the little, homes where all us little kids were watching. And then she'd just start rattling off random names. But back then it was easy because everybody was named Jim, John, Mike, I see John. And we'd all sit there and we'd be like, oh, say my name. And kids like, come on, look at me. Not knowing how it works. It was brilliant. You can't do that anymore though. I mean, we were recording some stuff yesterday. There was no Pillow Talk show. Pillow Talk is the show that we do at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, myself and James Parker. There was no Pillow Talk last night because we were doing some secret recordings of some other things. And there will be a Pillow Talk tonight, though. So come on back. Regular schedule resumes tonight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Pillow Talk with me and James Parker. Not so sure if he's going to be with us tonight because he's Kentucky Derby bound. But I had compiled a list. I used to do this every year during the NFL draft because I'm a draft nerd of the best new names. Every year during the NFL draft, we're given new names that combinations of letters that we didn't even know went together. And, but now they're names. I mean, there was a time in my life when I had never heard the combination of letters Barktavius before. And then Barktavius. And now suddenly Barktavius is a name. Mingo. That was the last name. That really sold it. So anyway, there are all these new names from the NFL draft. Maybe we'll do that tonight with Pugs and Parker and the Pillow Talk crew. Maybe we'll do the new NFL names. But that wouldn't work for Miss Sally for Romper Room. If your name was like Macca Davison, or something, and there's a name that's like that, Macca Davison, like Mac Davis is, it's like all one dude's name. Macca Davison is, Clinton? Was it Macadavius Clinton or something like that? Anyway, crazy new name, something like that. If that's your name, Miss Sally ain't never saying Macadavius. I mean, she was only saying John. John is my birth name. She was only saying John maybe once or twice a week. And that's John. Anyway, I don't know how we got on the conversation about Romper Room, but whatever. All right, so let's get into it. What do you say? It's high noon for the 3rd day of May, year of our Lord 2023. May 3rd is the 123rd day of the year. That means there are 242 days remaining until the end of the year. So as we like to say around these parts, get them New Year's Eve plans started. That's right. That needs to be louder. I like it louder in my headphones. That's how it works. Let's go through. Okay, so here's how the show works. I know, I promised. I'm a big promiser. I promised that I'd get to all the headlines and the hot topics and the trends and all that stuff of the day. And I will. I promise I will. But before we do that, we like to do a segment we call Erstwhile. Or yesterday I called it Antecedently. I don't know which one I like. Previously on. You know, that's so pedestrian. Try to be fancy around these parts. Nobody else is trying to be fancy. I'm trying to be fancy. My fancy words. Previously on this day, we go through a list of the things that occurred on this day in history that I think might be telling about what to expect in the coming hours of this version of May the 3rd. And then we go through some birthdays, people who were born on this day. We talk about their contributions. And then we talk about some people who died. Yes, so we do the events of the day. We do the births and we do the deaths. And then after we've got this like really strong understanding of what this day has been like throughout history, then we jump into the topics of the day. So please, if you're ready, let's get started. On this day, antecedently, on this day, I like that word, antecedently. By the way, I didn't even get that from I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, he just went to a thesaurus and put previous. No, I'm rewatching Fargo. I don't know if you guys like the FX series Fargo. It's brilliant, so good. Every season is different, but it's all taking place in this part of the country that's weird. Before every episode, they say previously on Fargo, but they don't say previously on Fargo. They say erstwhile on Fargo, or they say antecedently. So not a thesaurus. I just stole it from Fargo. They're cool words, and I liked it. I was like, ooh, I want to say that. Previously, on this day in 1802, Washington, D.C. is incorporated as a city after Congress abolishes the Board of Commissioners, the district's founding government. Gone like that. City of Washington is given a mayor-council form of government. I believe we call that a cuck-gov, because seriously, the mayor of Washington, D.C. got caught smoking crack. And I guess there's only like 300 people who vote in Washington, D.C., so he got reelected. I don't know. Washington, D.C., that's a tough spot, man. Because isn't it on its own merits? Isn't it one of the larger cities in America? So it is. So we do have to pay it some concern because there are a lot of American citizens that are living there, but they have no rights. They have no rights. And as I talk about this, I realize I really do not know the legal and representative state of Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. I know that there's a lot of people who are like, make it a state. And I'm like, I don't know why. And then there's a whole bunch of smart person reasons, but I don't know. On this day in 1921, Ireland is partitioned under British law by the Government of Ireland Act. This created Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. Northern Ireland, sure, but you can just go kick rocks with that Southern Ireland nonsense. There ain't no such thing as Southern Ireland. By the way, this was the legal name, Northern and Southern Ireland, but only for a period of time because the people in Southern Ireland, which occupied about 5/6 of the entire island of Ireland, that people don't realize that. Northern Ireland is just like a tiny little carve out on top. The like 5/6 of Ireland is Southern Ireland. Even though County Donegal, which is, or is it Ulster? No, Ulster. Anyway, yeah. So Southern, the northernest most point in all of Ireland, the entire landmass of Ireland, the northernmost point is in Southern Ireland. So it doesn't really make any sense. It's a carve out. We all know that there is that now the whole world knows, regardless of what occurred on this day in 1921, the whole world knows there's no such thing as a Southern Ireland. There is Ireland, and then there's Northern Ireland, which is the cuck state of the British Empire. But on this day in 1948, the U.S. Supreme Court rules in Shelley versus Kramer that covenants prohibiting the sale of real estate to blacks and other minorities are legally unenforceable. Okay. You get what this is, right? So, right up until... Actually, people don't understand. Because, we're not taught this. I don't know. Maybe they're being taught now with that CRT that I don't understand. I don't know, whatever. But the fact of the matter is It wasn't until 1960, it wasn't until the Civil Rights Act guaranteed that banks had to offer mortgages to black buyers. I mean, black people couldn't buy houses. Oh, they could buy houses. It wasn't illegal. No, it wasn't illegal. But it was also perfectly legal for the bank guy who was giving these loans to look at a neighborhood that he had put maybe 20 mortgages into, all white suburban faces or whatever, and then not give the mortgage to the new black family they wanted. I mean, that was just regular standard operating procedure. That was until 1965, 66. I don't know, I should know. Whatever. But it was on this day in 1948 that the Supreme Court actually said that, hey, you know, all of these documents, you know, all of these deeds, these land deals and all this stuff that say, I'll sell to you, but we've got it written in here that if you decide to flip this property, you're not allowed to sell it to black people. You know, by the legally binding contract that we are signing. It was on this day that the Supreme Court said, yeah, those very words, that very idea, that makes it not a legally binding contract because you can't do that. You can't agree to not sell. There are people who think maybe you should be able to. Well, I should be able to sell to anybody I want. I mean, hey, there's an argument there too. This is not the place where we're going to have the argument. But I always laugh a little bit when, you know, people say, you know, my family's been on this land since 1890 and I don't understand. We've never gotten any handouts from anybody. And like, yeah, you know, your contention from jump is a bit faulty. You start out by saying your family has owned this land since 1890. There are other families in this country, people who you seem to be comparing yourself to, who couldn't even get a mortgage until the 1960s. So, you know, that right there kind of tells us that you started out, you come from generations that have been able to own property and build up equity and hand stuff down. It's crazy whenever I see these things. 1948, the United States Supreme Court decides that I'll read it exactly. The United States Supreme Court rules in Shelley versus Kramer that covenants prohibiting the sale of real estate to blacks and other minorities are legally unenforceable. So they didn't say that it's, well, actually what they're saying is, if you agree not to sell to minorities in a contract, that contract becomes void. There you go. That's what the Supreme Court said. Okay. Or something like that. It was on this day in 1952 that the Kentucky Derby is televised nationally for the very first time on the CBS network. Man, what a mess that was, right? I mean, can you imagine? I mean, it's black and white. None of the colors pop. It's just, and in the film, you know, grainy. It's just bad luck. Anyway, hey, when you didn't know anything else, that was probably amazing. I remember being a little kid seeing Pong for the first time. Had no idea Mortal Kombat or whatever was, you know, going to be the norm. Virtual reality fighting dragons in your own living room. I didn't think that was going to be a real thing. So when I first saw Pong, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. We have peaked as human beings. Tech can't get any crazier. Probably how people watching the very first Kentucky Derby on this day felt, look at this, I'm not even anywhere near Kentucky, and I'm watching a horse race. On this day in 1957, Walter O'Malley, the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers, agrees to move the team from Brooklyn to Los Angeles. Oh boy, people were upset about that one, I'll tell you. A bunch of old heads still like, I won't root for the Dodgers since they left Brooklyn. Think about that. You know, there's a period of time, that little neighborhood area, that's what I'm calling the 5 boroughs of New York City. I mean, it's you know, it's very, there's a lot of people. Man, there was a time they had how many baseball teams? They had the Yankees. They had the New York Yankees. They had the New York Giants. They had the Brooklyn Dodgers. Jeez, man. Anyway, well, there you go. You don't hear much. When did San Francisco move to San Francisco? You don't really hear much about that. All you hear about is, when the Dodgers broke Brooklyn's hat. On this day in 1963, the police force in Birmingham, Alabama, switches tactics and responds with violent force to stop the Birmingham campaign protesters. Images of the violent suppression are transmitted worldwide, bringing newfound attention to the civil rights movement. Yeah, I mean, look, that's a really good example of how imagery was used to get a message across. In this case, that message was, here's the struggle, see it with your own eyes. That was the message. I personally happen to think that's a good message to get out. But you can use messaging, now. You want to see how that... We used... Vietnam, the war in Vietnam came to an end because of that kind of messaging, because of the images that we were seeing. So the power of messaging, man, has never been disputed. Now, today, we have examples of that. I dare say you wouldn't even know what kind of beer that trans lady drinks if Kid Rock hadn't shot up a whole bunch of stuff on a viral video. I bet you that's the messaging that informed you about the whole thing. Or somebody giving you that viral video. I'm just saying messaging is a form of manipulation. You have to be smart enough to look at the messaging and go, is this brain candy or is this actually something that I should be thinking about? And that's hard. We don't like to do that. Hell, I don't like to do that. I fly off the handle straight from the hip all the time. And then in my dark moments, I feel like a big fraud and hate myself for not being thoughtful. But hey, moving on this day in 1999, the southwestern portion of Oklahoma City is devastated by an F5 tornado, killing 45 people, injuring 665, and causing $1 billion in damage. The tornado is one of 66 from the 1999 Oklahoma tornado outbreak. This tornado also produces the highest wind speed ever recorded, measured at 301 miles per hour. Wow. I don't know that I necessarily remember that. I mean, there are so many tornado things around here, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana. I mean, and then you go back to my younger days in the Midwest. I mean, geez, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, always getting wrecked by tornadoes, I don't remember this one. This one sounds pretty bad, though. On this day in 2007, okay, I'm such an idiot. I don't know why I come up. You can't approach a story like this with, on this day. I just can't. I need a transition. I'm sorry. It was on this day in 2007, a 3-year-old British girl, Madeleine McCain, disappeared in Praia da Cruz, Portugal, starting the most heavily reported missing person case in modern history. You remember that cute little girl? She's so cute. Oh my God, what a horror show for those parents. If they had nothing to do with it, here's the problem, it was a British story. So they followed this in Britain is like their who was Tot Mom? Remember Tot Mom? Carly, Katie, Anthony, whatever. Anthony, the Anthony girl, Susan B. Whatever. Tot Mom. This is like their Tot Mom. They were all into it. We were just kind of peripherally into it. They accused the parents. I remember that's something. But I also remember going, nah, parents didn't do it. So I don't know. Did they find the little girl? I don't think they ever found her. Good Lord. 2007. So what is that? 10, 13, 16 years later. 16. She'd be 19. Madeleine McCain be 19. Oh my God. On this day in 2015. Oh my. This you need the Benny Hill theme for. We're gonna spend a little time on this one, folks, because it happened around here. On this day in 2015, 2 gunmen, if you want to call these stooges that, 2 gunmen launched an attempted attack on an anti-Islam event in Garland, Texas, which was held in response to the Charlie Hebdo shooting. Okay, so we all remember this, man. This was boy. When the dust settled on this, though, it was like. These guys, is this the best you got, ISIS? Because ISIS, if you remember, ISIS stepped forward and said, we did it. These guys were idiots. First of all, know your room, dudes. They were from Arizona. They were like a bunch of like radical, I think they were both, I think one of them was American born and then got radicalized, and the other one might have been like an immigrant or whatever. But anyway, they're just radical, death to America. They're this kind of thing. So these, we already know about these people. So then they decide they're going to target obviously it was an obvious anti-Islamic thing. It was like, look, the Muslim people, I guess what, you're not supposed to draw their Muhammad guy? Okay, so I won't draw Muhammad. See, this is me though. This is me. It's like, what's that rule? Can't draw that guy? I don't want to draw that guy anyway. But if I did draw him, they'd be pissed. Yeah, all right, see, why would I just want to piss them off? I don't even want to draw it anyway. Anyway, that's like a rule, apparently. So because of that, certain instigators, like the people who put on this event in Garland, Texas, and they were total instigators. But they are, through happenstance, they are the heroes of this story. So just bear with me. But come on, they're instigating. And this is where we have to jump back to the idiots from Phoenix or Scottsdale or wherever they were from. These idiots were like, let's attack the thing in Texas. First of all, it's Texas, man, okay? Okay, it's Texas, and this is an anti-Islam. Don't you think these people are going to be strapped? I mean, you guys, two of you morons think you're going to burst into this place. And what happened is exactly what happened. These two idiots got put down almost immediately. And then, ISIS stepped up by first attack in America. And we didn't really know what ISIS was at this point. This was sort of the beginning of us hearing about what ISIS was. But God, these two dudes were just such clown shows. But also, come on, yeah, it was they were rattling a cage. It was almost like they set the trap. They were like, come on, we're gonna put this on. Come attack us, MF. It was like they were loud aside. On some level, I kind of respect that, even though I don't respect the unnecessary stoking of crazy people during a time when we acknowledge that we got a lot of crazy people, and we also acknowledge that people are on edge like never before. So I don't appreciate that, but good Lord. Here, let me see something about this. Let me I love that history records it as an attempted attack at the Curtis Culwell Center. The Curtis Culwell Center in beautiful downtown Garland, Texas. The Curtis Culwell Center attack was a failed terrorist attack on an exhibit featuring cartoon images of Muhammad. See, again, were these people gonna draw images of Muhammad, or was the $10,000 prize used as a thing to get people to do something that's gonna unnecessarily piss up a bunch of people who are already ginned up? And you know what I mean? It just seemed so avoidable. This whole thing just seemed so avoidable. The Curtis Culwell Center attack, I'm glad it ended the way it did. The Curtis Culwell Center attack was a failed terrorist attack on an exhibit featuring cartoon images of Muhammad at the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas. Garland's just outside Dallas. It's like the first suburb. It borders Dallas, right? Garland. It ended in a shootout with police guarding the event and the deaths of two perpetrators. Sorry, I laughed. These guys are idiots. They attacked. They took the bait in Texas, which is so stupid. It's so stupid. This isn't just walking into a Target, and just kill. These people were waiting for you. These people knew what they were doing, and they were waiting for you, and you were so stupid. You took the bait, and now you're dead. The attackers shot an unarmed Garland Independent School District security officer in the ankle. All right, so that's the worst. All right, so they got an ankle shot off. That dude's fine. Shortly after opening fire, both attackers were shot by an off-duty Garland police officer and then killed by SWAT. All right! Way to take the idiots down. FBI had been monitoring them. They were troublemakers. This other dude, this dude, so there's this other dude, Joshua Ryan Goldberg. He was apparently the internet troll who set this whole thing up. It's important for the context of who this dude is. So he was raised Jewish, but he posed online as Islamic terrorists. And it wasn't like, oh, this guy's obviously doing a bit. He's pretending to be an Islamic terrorist. No, he seemed to be really, serious about it. It wasn't so that was kind of weird. And he's the guy that apparently promoted on his Twitter account and all this stuff. The directions where it was, we need to attack. And he had some standing in Islamic internet radical circles so that when he said stuff. Anyway, here, I want to show you this guy because this is the guy, when we talk about internet trolls, when we talk about people, this dude needs to be the face of the internet troll. Okay, so his name is, what is it? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. This. Okay. Just, I don't know. You always hear people, they're like, the fat kid in the fat kid in his basement. And this is kind of perfect for that. Here, let me pull this up. Yeah, we'll do it like this. Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the money shot. All right, so here you go. This is the radical Islamic guy that was behind the Garland failed attack. He's doing time in prison. Again, this is Jewish-raised internet troll. Look at him. Oh, God. Joshua Goldberg, ladies and gentlemen. Look at him. When they say it's just some fat kid in his mom's basement, well, that's exactly who I want you to think of this guy from now on, because this is him. This is he had like hundreds of internet personas that he used to troll people with. So how many were hot chicks, right? Like how many dudes engaged in like weird internet stuff with this guy, not knowing it? Wow. I don't like that weird internet stuff. Yeah, just telling you. All right, let's see here. What do we have? Should we move on to some? I guess we're going to move on to birthdays now. Let's move on to some birthdays. Born on this day in 1903, Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby. Oh, he was a national icon. Everybody loved him. A treasure, really. He was the first, big famous crooner. He was Frank Sinatra's hero, don't you know? Frank Sinatra got into the singing game because of all right, so when you think of Bing Crosby, I think that a lot of people think of maybe some Christmas music first, and then you start to think a little bit deeper, and then you think, he was a terrible drunk who beat his kids, right? That's what people think. Oh, Bing Crosby, terrible drunk, he beat his kids. Not true. That's not true. I don't believe that's true. Here's why I don't believe that's true. That whole narrative about who Bing Crosby was, that whole narrative came about after Gary Crosby wrote a book. Gary was having some problems, and he was kind of a trouble guy, and I guess the family had cut him off. So he wrote a book to cash in, and that book was about how Bing was a drunk and beat him and all that kind of stuff. Now, Bing's got like 50 kids, and all the other 50 kids are like, yeah, he's lying. That did not happen. So if you're walking around thinking that Bing Crosby beat his kid because his junkie son wrote about it in the book, I'd look at the other kids. I'd listen to the other kids, the youngers, the olders, all of them, both sides of it. Now, here, that's not to say that Bing Crosby wasn't a curious individual, because he certainly was. Bing Crosby, check this out. In 1958, Bing Crosby's son, Dennis, married a Playboy playmate who had previously been Bing's girlfriend. That's right. That's right. Bing has had sexual relations with his daughter-in-law before handing her off to... That's just weird. Anyway, happy birthday, Bing Crosby. Born on this day in 1933, James Brown. Hit me. I like James Brown. Yeah, James Brown. I don't know what I'm going to say about James Brown. He's crazy, man. He wasn't like a staple in my house growing up, so I didn't have that foundation. I had to come to my own. Well, my big, I always knew who James Brown was, but I didn't I didn't know his songs or anything. But then he was in a Rocky movie, and that was his crossover moment for me. White, suburban, 90s kid, suburban, movie. Yeah, that was a Rocky movie. So I'm sitting there and then all of a sudden that bam, 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 I live in America. Ha! That I'm like, oh, this guy, I've heard of this guy, James Brown. And then from that point, he just became like a household word. And you started seeing him everywhere. And then you go, oh, I know that song. James Brown, born on this day in 1933. He was crazy though. Don't lionize the man of all. Don't forgive thou thine sins posthumously. Something like that. I don't know, he did some crazy stuff when he was alive. And then he died. And everybody dies. But he did some crazy stuff and he did some great music. And a lot of people love him. But he did some crazy stuff. James Brown, born on this day in 1933. Born on this day in 1934, I have no idea if he did any crazy stuff. Frankie Valli, American singer and actor. He had a crazy high voice. Crazy. I mean, I have a crazy high voice, but he had a crazy high voice. And I guess it was pretty because he could sing. Born on this day in 1935. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're going to stop down. We're going to talk about a dude. No, this one, every now and again, a couple days, we stumble across somebody who's either passed on or we're celebrating their birthday, who I deem to be a real one. And we got one here. You ready? Are you ready? Born on this day in 1935, ladies and gentlemen, Ron Popeil. Yeah, Ron Popeil. Chop-O-Matic. Friends. Wait, there's more. That was Ron Popeil. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying, Pugs, he's the late night infomercial pitch man. How could he possibly be a dude? I'll tell you why he's a dude. Because as we've established, or at least as I've tried to get across to you people, I am an unbelievable ace in the hole when it comes to judging character. I can judge character. And I know, I'm looking at all these infomercial guys. I'm looking at coked up Billy Mays. Friends, I gotta sell all this coke. That's Billy Mays. I wouldn't buy a damn thing Billy Mays is pitching. Didn't believe him. You remember the Australian guys? G'day, hey, we're making, and they were crazy Australian guys. Nah, I got a rule. Never trust a fast-talking Australian. Do a whole podcast episode on that one if you want. But just, it's a good rule of thumb. Suzanne Summers. Remember Suzanne Summers? She did she was good. She was fine because she was Suzanne Summers. And weirdly enough, Suzanne Summers looked better in 1990 doing Thighmaster commercials than she did in 1977. She got better looking with age, and she became super rich off the Thighmaster. So I like Suzanne Summers. So I won't include her. Kevin Trudeau. You remember that guy? Remember Kevin Trudeau? Remember that guy? It's a smell pen. If you're fat, you just smell the pen, and then you're not fat. I mean, he was that guy. Mega Memory. He had a fake talk show. He wrangled Danny Bonaducci into being the co-host of this late-night fake talk show where my first guest is Kevin Trudeau. We're going to talk about how awesome he is. And you know that? Kevin Trudeau. Look. Kevin Trudeau was a hustler. He's still alive, still out there. Honestly, I don't know. I think, is he wanted by the police or something? I don't know. You can Google it. I don't know. Something's going on there. Kevin Trudeau was very involved. He was a Chicago entrepreneur. He was very involved in our radio station. He big sponsor, and always around. Kevin Trudeau probably did a weekly hit on my show that I was a producer of every week for like a year, and we'd always be on. And this was at the time that Kevin Trudeau was doing the Mega Memory commercials. I can remember everything. And every single time I would let Kevin Trudeau in to the studios when he'd show up for his hit on the air with us, I would go and I would get him from the green room and I would introduce myself, and Kevin Trudeau, Mr. Mega Memory, would act like he'd never met me before. I used to go, he didn't remember me again. Mr. Mega Memory can't remember the little people that, get him his coffee all the time. What's that kid's name? I thought you had a Mega Memory. So he was bullshit. Vince sucks. Vince? Dude, if you look at Vince and you will buy anything that obvious strung out meth head is trying to peddle, you can't judge character at all. And that's why he's on TV, because about 70 to 75% of us can't judge character at all, and we fall for the sale. We fall for the con. Vince is obviously not a genuine guy. Ron Popeil, the birthday boy, born on this day in 1935. He was a genuine article, man. Ron Popeil came across to me as a guy who honestly believed that these things that he invented, Ron Popeil was an inventor. These were his creations. That goes a long way with me because I understand that as a creative who's had to sit in pitch meetings. It gets personal. When it's something, when it's not just a product, and when you're not just trying to make an end of month bonus by moving as much of this trash product as possible, when it's not that, when it's something you've created, and now you want to give it to somebody to give it life and to make it grow, and they're like critical of it, it's different. It's different. And that was the vibe I got from Ron Popeil, that Ron Popeil did those commercials because nobody else cares as much about chopping vegetables this quick as I do. I spent years trying to perfect. I like Ron Popeil. Ron Popeil was a good dude. He's an inventor. He invented the whole thing. You want to know how that whole infomercial thing got started? It got started, I want to say it was in the 1960s. Ron Popeil had gone to work for his father, who also did these kinds of kitchen gadgets. Now, they had split off from each other, and they were sort of competitors, and Ron Popeil couldn't compete with his dad because his dad had all of this money. So they would go to these trade shows, and they would show these kitchenware things, and Ron Popeil had the Chop-O-Matic, which could chop vegetables really quick. And what they soon discovered was they couldn't carry enough vegetables to keep up with the demonstrations of how quickly, and the vegetable costs were getting crazy expensive. They're like, we are just destroying, these things go through vegetables so quickly, we can't keep up buying vegetables for these demonstrations. So that became a problem because the product, the Chop-O-Matic, was so effective. So what they did was Ron Popeil says, well, here's what we're going to do. Why don't we just video record it? Why don't we just tape it? Why don't we just tape it and then we'll put it up here and people can walk by and they can watch the videotape demonstration. And that was the very first infomercial. It was within months that Ron Popeil looked at that and went, that's a commercial. Why don't we just buy time and put it on commercial? And there you go. There you have it. Infomercials. Ron Popeil, he was a dude. He was the only one I trusted, and now he's gone. Ron Popeil, born on this day in 1935. Born on this day in 1946, Greg Gumbel. Greg Gumbel's not Bryant. He's the other one, and they look very similar. I have an advantage when it comes to the Gumbels because the Gumbels are Chicago broadcasters, and I grew up with the Gumbels on local TV. Like, there was always a Gumbel. There was always, if you were a 5-year-old and you watched Bear highlights, there was always one of the Gumbels doing the Bear highlights or something like that. So I don't know, which one is Greg Gumbel? Greg Gumbel is the serious sports one, right? And Bryant is the arrogant. I like Greg, I think. I think birthday boy Greg is the one I prefer. All right, there you go. Happy birthday, birthday boy Greg. Stick to football, my man. Born on this day in 1947. Oh, here's somebody that I could go on and on about. I don't know really much about him, but I have a personal affection for Doug Henning. Doug Henning was born on this day in 1947. No, that's Wizzo. Doug Henning was, there was a period of time in the 1970s when magicians and jugglers and mimes, they were just getting shows. They were just throwing magicians and jugglers and mimes. At 8 o'clock Wednesdays, let's give it to the juggler. And it would be like a juggler, and he'd be like, and now the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. And he'd start juggling, and then some band would play lip sync some song that was on the track. It was crazy. Variety shows, man, they were crazy. They were the worst. They made no sense. They're not even, I got into a 70s variety show thing on YouTube a couple of years back where I was like, I'm going to rewatch all this. The fun wore off really quickly because it stops being ironic and weird and just begins to be tedious. Where it's just, how many times can I hear the Captain and Tennille's sing a Tina Turner song? And that's what they did. Like they would take people who weren't even remotely associated with a song, and then they'd have them open the show. You know, like Mac Davis. I don't even know what Mac Davis was, but Mac Davis would come out and he'd just sing a medley of like the top 5 songs on the charts, and it wouldn't be any of them. You know, like, I don't know, like Mac Davis doing Aerosmith, sweet. You know, it's so crazy. It made no sense. I don't know who it was entertaining. Well, it was entertaining us, that's who only had 2 other channels to choose from. You know, Mac Davis doing Elton John. Mac Davis saying, I remember my mom being outraged by this. This is one of those moments that just clicks in your head. So I guess Elton John had a hit. Well, not I guess. Elton John's hit song, "The Bitch Is Back." Oh, the bitch, oh, the bitch, oh, the bitch is back. You know that song? So the Mac Davis show, Mac's out there and he's in his his zip up pantsuit and he's got his Brady Bunch perm, going. And he's got the microphone and he's singing this Elton John song. And the bitch and the bitch and the bitch is back. Except he changed it to witch because it was like NBC at 8:00 on a June Thursday. He's like, and the witch and the witch and the witches. Oh, that, my mom didn't like that. She thought that was just, come on! Where's the artistic integrity? That is not the word. For some reason, I remember that. All right, so happy birthday. Doug Henning had one of them shows, and it was weird, and he was a hippie, and he used to sit Indian style in the middle of the floor, and then he'd say something like, and now, Molly Hatchet. Like Molly Hatchet would come out. I don't know. It was weird. Doug Henning. He was a magician, and I was a little kid, and he made things disappear, and I thought that was pretty damn cool. Doug Henning, born on this day in 1947. Born on this day in 1951. How do I describe this guy? Well, you know what? Let's just let his music do the. Why not? We can't monetize this show. You can't tip the show, though. Some of you tipped yesterday. Thank you so much, but we're not there. We're not there. We're pushing this week. We are pushing this week. So tip the show if you can. Venmo or Cash App. Every little bit is appreciated. Here, this guy's birthday. All right. I don't know how I feel about this guy. I really don't know how I feel about this guy. I'm going to have to just listen to him. That's it. Yeah. Christopher Cross's birthday. Sailing. I don't know what this is. This isn't rock, though, right? I mean, this is...
Well, it's not far down to paradise. At least it's not foaming. And if the wind is right, you can sail away and find tranquility.
Undeniable. He's got a beautiful voice. Dude's got a beautiful voice. What else he got? Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah. So he had Sailing, Christopher Cross. This is from Arthur. Remember when it was okay to laugh at the chronically drunk?
Once in your life, you find her.
When the disease of...
Someone who turns your heart around and next thing you know,
we got you. Yeah, we know. When the ugly disease of alcoholism was laughed about and cashed in on. It's only 10 years, really, between the depiction of alcoholism in Arthur and Nicolas Cage's in Leaving Las Vegas. Think about that. What happened in those 10 years? Between the moon and New York City. All right. So he's got Sailing. He's got this. Another big one. I didn't realize Christopher Cross had... This is when Christopher Cross was like, I'm not a pussy. I can rock. And they're like, all right, Chris is gonna rock us. Chris, rock us. And then he came out with it. This is like him rocking. It is the night. My body's weak. I'm gonna run. No time to sleep. I got to ride like the wind to be free again. Yeah, that's it. All right. Tonight, my body's weak. I'm on the run, no time to sleep. I've got to ride like the wind to be free again.
and I've got such a long way to go.
Such a long way to go.
To the border of Mexico.
And I'll ride was a big hit. Ah, look at this. This is cheese ball. Look at this. Hold on. All right. See? You don't think he had this many hits. Christopher Cross, the birthday boy.
I know. Know what's on your mind.
What is this? What 80s movie is this from? But I know it.
Gets tough sometimes.
And you will too.
You can give it one more try. Find a reason why
There's got to be a chorus coming somewhere here, because I know
try it again.
Here we go. Here comes chorus. I can feel it. Here it comes.
All right, think I'm gonna make it.
All right. That's good. Christopher Cross, happy birthday. Christopher Cross celebrating a birthday today. See, he's got way more hits than you would think. Way more. Born on this day in 1975. And we're going to jump all the way up to someone even younger than me. Willie Geist, American television journalist and host. I like Willie Geist. Willie Geist works there at NBC. I think he's on the Today Show now. Why do I like Willie Geist? Here's why I like Willie Geist. Because I've been watching Willie Geist since Willie Geist was a second tier 19-year-old producer on the very old, what was it? It was an MSNBC. It was like 20 something years ago, man. MSNBC had this morning show and it was before Morning Joe. And Willie Geist was the producer of it. And I remember thinking, I like that kid. I like that kid. And now look at him. Now look at you, Willie Geist. Born on this day, also in 1975, umbilical cousins, we like to say around here, with Willie Geist. How about Miss Christina Hendricks? Ooh, my partner on the evening show, James Parker, certainly enjoys Christina Hendricks. For me, I'm just, she's hot. Had better. It's obviously a joke. Born on this day in 1997. Here's a sad one. Dwayne Haskins, who died just around this time last year. You remember he was hit. They're saying that he was kidnapped and drugged. This whole thing is this Dwayne Haskins trial. This is gonna be a thing. Because his family is saying he was murdered. You know, he had he had all kinds of jewelry and stuff that was taken from. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly. Anyway, because he had the date rape drug in him. That's kind of, they're like, he was dosed. Somebody slipped him something and then tried to shake him down and he escaped. And, that's why he got hit by a truck running. Oh, this is a story, man. This is going to be a story. I'm sure 30 for 30 is going to do something. Do they do stuff anymore, 30 for 30? Or am I just like an old man? That's a show from the 90s. I'm like, I know. Jeez. All right, now let's move on to some of the people who have passed away on this very day, some of the greats that we've lost. Dead on this day in 1989, Christine Jorgensen. Christine Jorgensen died on this day. You know who she was? First trans person. That's right, first person. Christine Jorgensen was like the first person to have it all done. Was she vaxxed? I don't know. She died on this day in 1989. Trans woman. Okay, she was born in 1926, so 63. See that? Look at me doing like really bad math, reverse birthdays. I don't know. That's kind of young. Seems young. Dead on this day in 2006, Earl Woods. Earl Woods, ladies and gentlemen. You remember Earl Woods? Earl Woods. He was Tiger's dad. He was an American colonel. Although he wasn't famous for that. He was a baseball player. No, that's not anything. He wouldn't have a Wikipedia page. He was and he was an author. He wrote a book about how he raised Tiger. It says nothing here about him being Tiger Woods' dad, even though all of those other things mean nothing until Tiger Woods emerged. I'm just keeping it real, folks. Just keeping it real. You know how I do. Dead on this day in 2007, Wally Schirra. That's right. Real American hero. One of the Mercury 7. That's right. We respect the Mercury 7. As I like to say, if you don't respect the Mercury 7, then you just need to shut your stupid face. That's my attitude towards it. Shut your stupid face. Or you can go and you can watch The Right Stuff, and then you can come back and you can be like, hey, Pugs, let's go get a beer and talk about The Right Stuff. And I'll be like, what time and what place? Because I will always do that. Lance Hendrickson played Wally Schirra in The Right Stuff. And then in the From the Earth to the Moon, which is a really good miniseries that HBO put out about 20 years ago. More than that now, probably like 25 years ago. Tom Hanks executive produced it. Hanks and Spielberg, I think. Mark Harmon played Wally Schirra in that one. Wally Schirra, dead in 2007. American captain, pilot, astronaut. Godspeed, sir. Mercury 7 astronaut. Godspeed. All right, that's going to do it. Do we feel caught up? Do we feel like we understand the day as it's unfolded in front of us? We now know what has happened, thus giving us maybe a clearer lens as to what to expect. I think so. I think that's where we are. So let's move into the hot topics, the trending topics, all the things that are occurring. You know what I want to do, though? I want to start doing this every day. Because I realize that the first part of the show takes the better part of an hour. And if anything truly big has occurred while I'm just waxing poetic about, I don't know, Catherine the Great or whomever, Bing Crosby, whoever it is, I want to see if there's anything new. Like, what if something big has happened while I'm just going, Bing Crosby wasn't that bad? If while I'm doing that, something big goes on, I want to know about it. Okay. So why is active shooter trending? We got one of these situations. How come I didn't get did I get an alert? Nope, I didn't get an alert. No alerts. Okay. Okay, so yeah, apparently we have something here. Yeah, thank you, April. See, this is why I like to do this. 1 killed, 3 injured in Atlanta Midtown shooting. No suspects in custody. 1 person was killed. Here, you know what? Let me walk. Why didn't I get a police scanner update? Okay.
43 for a great Toyota. I copy. So you're out to 132 Joseph E. Lowry.
300. Who else has been out longer than 20 minutes?
Maybe 2609.
You went to radio. That location is 1105 Joseph E. Lowry.
Go ahead.
Does that Toyota look like it's been in an accident?
Copy, thank you.
All right, we are listening to the Atlanta Police Dispatch.
Hey, 300. Be advised, there's a possible sighting of that male near Piedmont Park. Male from 1110 West Peachtree. So, that may be your...
All right,
The
so
neighborhood says
there's-
he's been sitting here since 2 o'clock this morning.
precinct.
Over in A1 now. They got
all right, we're listening to Atlanta Police Dispatch. There's a manhunt going on for somebody who opened fire.
Absolutely.
I don't know how long ago it was. Let's listen in and I'll read the story here.
2407. Okay, 2204. We got another death from a vehicle of 1735 before place. They just advising that the male was last sighted near Piedmont Park.
All in the same proximity.
Copy. That's going to be the male from the shooting on West Peachtree.
Did she just
So you want me
say?
to relate them to
Did she just say that we've got another death from a car? Is this person in a car? All right, here, I'm going to read this. 1 person was killed and at least 3 others injured in a shooting Wednesday in Atlanta. Police said no suspects in custody. Police said an active shooter situation unfolded inside a building on West Peachtree Street between 12th and 13th.
To Atlanta Public Schools PD, since Midtown High is right across the street. Make sure they've got that 78.
Receipt.
This happened in Atlanta's Midtown neighborhood.
School is on 10th Street.
3 have been transported to the hospital for treatment, and a 4th has been pronounced deceased on the scene. Officers are actively searching for the suspect and any other victims. Police urge people to avoid the area or shelter in place. The police have released 4 images of a suspect on social media. All right, here we go. All right, hold on. Let's get into this a little bit. So they're looking for this guy. Now is when we're finding out this.
And now I have a call in the pending saying that a parent at the Midtown High School said they spotted the male, looked like the active shooter, possibly took his hoodie off, and he was acting erratically. He gave Piedmont Park at 1073 Piedmont Avenue.
Was they able to advise if he had another shirt or he had no shirt?
He didn't advise, they just said he looked like he took his hoodie off.
Copy. Is there any way you can do a call back to that caller? We're in the area now.
For head unit, it's copy 770-695-9776.
Radio Raison 2106.
25 Florida Radio.
Are you still going to be out on vandalism on 889 Beckwith?
Okay, so courtesy of April, thank you, April. This is a picture.
For a auto accident with injuries on Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard and Park Street.
So these are pictures of the shooter, the person who opened fire. I can't tell. Just first and foremost, what is that? May I be so bold as to ask, what is that? What are we looking for here? Are we looking for a white man in a gray hoodie? Are we looking for an Asian man with a Fu Manchu? Are we looking for a Latino man? Are we looking for a very light-skinned black man? I don't, these are useless to me. I'm trying to compartmentalize. How are they describing him? How is he being described? Anybody in the chat room know? Because I don't know what I'm looking at here. If I'm being honest with you, if this person looked like somebody who might have beef with somebody and settle it with a gun in a public place in Atlanta, I would tell you that, but I can't tell. Here's what I know. I know it ain't a fat old middle-aged white man. Oh, sorry, lefties. It looks like this one got away from you. This is not. Oh, it's Atlanta. It's probably one of them meal team 6 fat guys with his open carry who just had enough. No, this. I don't know what this is. I don't know what box to put this one in. Let's go back and listen to the Atlanta Police Dispatch for a moment. Active manhunt going on in Atlanta.
Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, you're en route to...
207,
We're en route to 5823.
3 marks for that call is a gray Kia K5 versus a red dump truck. Grady has been notified.
Precinct 24-1 for a pull-in.
I'm not able to locate the address on this call. Is it possible to do a call back to get a
all right, well...
the exact address?
We're going to try and follow this, and I'll monitor the chat room as best as I can. It's another one of these situations here where I don't know where to go. I don't know whether this merits being covered wire to wire. 1 o'clock. Oh, Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. That always scares the shit out of me. You hear them? The first Tuesday of the month, the alarms go off. And here we sit today. Don't we have bad weather coming? Let's see here. Storms coming. Yeah, storms coming. Storms possible. Oh, Thursday evening, I guess they're coming. It's so old-timey. Just, it's like a crier, town crier. Hear ye, this is a test. We all have phones. We all have cell, All right, so I'm going to move on from this situation in Atlanta. But April, I would like, if possible... Oh, it's Wednesday. That's right, so I guess it's first Wednesday. Whatever. I think I said it was Tuesday earlier as well. April, I'm going to need to assign you coverage of the ongoing situation in Atlanta. Okay, I will be looking for your comments in order to update me on what's happening. But I can't really tell what's happening there right now. I can't tell. They releasing pictures. I don't know what we're looking for. I don't know if this is because honestly, if it's just like gangbanger, Atlanta street violence, like the kind that I'm used to from Chicago. If it's that, then I'm like, But if this is like, Allah Akbar, I want to know. I need to figure it out. Hold on a second, guys. We got... Yeah, you know what? Ed's telling me, my buddy Ed, he's texting me. He says it usually is the first Tuesday of the month. So I might be right. Maybe it is Wednesday. He says that now maybe that ought to be taken more seriously because I'm used to it being on Tuesday and it didn't happen on Tuesday. The only thing that's keeping me calm is that it happened explicitly at 1 p.m., which, if you're wouldn't that suck if a tornado is bearing down at you? Like right at the top of the hour. You're going to wait. You're going to want to wait, or you want to go early with it maybe because people will be like, oh, but it's top of the hour. That seems like that was scheduled. No. Thank you, folks. I was just filling time waiting for my computer to completely download, and it has, so now we can move on with the events of the day. April, what's happening? Anything new? Okay, April has accepted her job. I've put her in charge of monitoring the situation in Atlanta. She has proven herself to be a good soldier with such things. So let's move forward. All right, let's talk about all the things that are happening today. Last couple of days, we've been talking about this Texas manhunt situation that happened over the weekend down there in Cleveland, Texas, where a neighbor decided that, hey, I'm going to have some fun. Well, I guess it was more like, I don't know. What is he? He was an illegal. He was an illegal who had been deported 4 times. I mean, he's still, still got himself a Armalite rifle. And he's just, in the neighborhood, because I guess that's what one does. Out on your porch. Across the street, they got a baby. They're like, hey, we got a baby. It's 9:00 at night. Can you not fire? First of all, don't fire your weapon, okay? But second of all, the baby. There has never been a more reasonable complaint from a neighbor than that one. So what did this guy do? He went, and he walked across the street and he killed everybody in the house. Killed everybody. I guess not the baby, though. But he killed like a little 8-year-old boy. He's a total piece of shit. Then he ran, and so Texas Rangers and all the stuff that we're really good at down here in Texas, that switch got flipped. And we're like, we're going to get him. We got a manhunt. Let's wrestle some boys and get a posse out there. And we did. And we got him. We got him, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. They got him. They caught him in a closet buried under a bunch of laundry a mile from where this all went down. So he didn't get far, He didn't get far. Let's see here. This comes out of, we'll read the official story just to get you all the pertinent details that you're going to need. Let's see. This comes out of NBC5 DFW. Texas manhunt ends with arrest of man accused of killing 5 neighbors, including a child. Police had used drones and sent tracking dogs during the wide search for Oropesa that included combing a heavily wooded forest a few miles from the scene. A 4-day manhunt in Texas for a gunman accused of killing 5 neighbors ended Tuesday not far from the site of the shooting when authorities, acting on a tip, said they found the suspect hiding underneath a pile of laundry in the closet of a house. Okay, here's the thing, all right? I don't want to deport him. We can deport him. We can deport him. This dude killed 5 people in an American city. Hell, in a Texas city. I don't want to throw him back. He needs to go to an American jail forever. He's going to go to Mexico and, some cartel will buy. He'll be out of jail in like a year. We send him to Mexico. He needs to be given the death penalty right here in Texas. We need to get this guy off the board. He's been deported 4 times. Let's make it a 5th. No, we got him now. He ain't going anywhere ever again. I'm gonna send him back to Mexico. Shit. We're gonna put him in a nice dank gray cell. We're gonna let him know about how all these appeals can drag this out, and he can live like human veal in that box for maybe 20 years before his execution finally comes to pass. There you go. That's fine by me. Human veal, suffer all 20 years with the hollow hope that maybe your decision to put you to death will be overturned. It ain't going to happen. Not in Texas. You're going to die ultimately anyway, and it's going to be an excruciating 20 years of you just thinking that maybe you won't, but you will. That's what I hope for him. How about this? This is a crazy story. The Kremlin is trending. As with all things Kremlin, we have no idea if this is true or not, but everybody's reporting it like it is true. Apparently, there was an assassination attempt on the life of Vladimir Putin. He wasn't at the Kremlin, so it wasn't a really well-researched assassination attempt. But apparently, some drones flew in there and dropped some bombs on the Kremlin. Some drones. And they're saying the Ukrainians are flying drones, and I don't know. That doesn't seem like something they'd be able to do. You know what? That seems like something. It seems like something that the people of Russia, who are sick and tired of this war, who are slowly beginning to rise up against the totalitarian regime that is Putinism, these people are more likely to, have been the ones to attack the Kremlin and to not know the schedule, not know that Putin wasn't there. That's like the kind of screw up that regular dudes who are just trying to wreak havoc would do. Ukrainian intelligence would probably have information shared by NATO of Putin's whereabouts. They wouldn't mistakenly drop drones on the Kremlin, right? They wouldn't. That's something some dudes on the streets would do, though. So that's what I think it is. The Kremlin is painting it to the world like it's the Ukrainians, but I don't think so. I think it's the Russians. Kremlin says Putin survived overnight assassination attempt. Let's see here. The Russian presidential administration said Wednesday that the Kremlin was attacked by drones overnight in an attempt on President Vladimir Putin's life. Moscow residents had reported hearing 2 explosions behind Kremlin walls shortly after 2 a.m., after which the lights went out in the Kremlin. Footage shared by residents and local Telegram channels captured the incident. As smoke was seen filling the sky above the Kremlin, videos also appeared to show parts of the Kremlin on fire. Now authorities say it was a brazen attack by Ukraine using 2 drones, both of which they say have been destroyed by superior Russian military. Okay, now, again, this makes no sense. Ukrainian intelligence right now is some of the best intelligence in the world because we know that they're working hand in hand with NATO intelligence. We're not giving them jet fighter and air cover, and we're not committing troops, but we're giving them everything else, and that includes intelligence sharing. So, again, this is not Ukraine. I do not believe it's Ukraine. It would be a really stupid lapse in intelligence to show that you don't know. First of all, it's embarrassing. It's assumed that, they know the whereabouts of Putin at all times because of satellites, because of tracking, because all that kind of stuff, because you keep an eye. We knew the whereabouts of, just about everybody that's on our shit list. Keep an eye on them. So the Ukraine is not going to attack. They're not going to use drones to attack Putin when he's not there. Because they're going to know that he's not there. Again, but the Kremlin doesn't want the world to know that there's unrest in the streets and that people are rising up. No injuries were reported according to TASS, the news agency. But would TASS report the truth? Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Putin was not even at the presidential residence at the time. The Kremlin describing the incident as a planned terrorist attack and assassination attempt on the president of Russia is now threatening to take retaliatory measures. Of course they are. Anyway, that's interesting. I don't believe the story that's being reported. It does not make sense to me that the Ukrainians would show their hand that they have that bad of intelligence, that they didn't even know where Putin was. Because I'm telling you, Putin's defenses, they expect that the other people know where they are at all times. That's just, you got to protect them to the best of your ability, but you move them around. Hopefully you catch a loophole and maybe you get a couple of days where nobody knows where he is, then he pops back up. They're always looking for him. Let's see here. Oh, here's a weird one. There's a situation going on down at UC Davis, University of California at Davis. I've been watching these stories now for the last couple of days, and I thought after the first couple, this is an old story, but then I realized this isn't an old story. This is another one So they think there might be a serial killer working the campus of UC Davis in California, and he's stabbing people to death. There have now been 3 brutal stabbings in the period of a week. That's what I'm saying. It's like the story cannot be. First story was dude gets stabbed, and I'm like, whatever. Okay, just that's just violence. I don't need to talk about that. Then a couple days later, there's another story. Dude gets stabbed at UC Davis. I'm like, why do they keep pushing this story? And then I realized, oh wait, this is a different story. And I was like, that's weird. And then this one today. Now there's another one today. And now the police are going, we got kind of a situation here. Here's what it says. Let's see here. A third stabbing in less than a week has prompted an hours-long shelter-in-place order for the sprawling UC Davis campus and large swaths of downtown Davis early on Tuesday, as authorities conducted a yard-to-yard search for the assailant. They came up empty, and by late morning, as FBI agents arrived to assist with the investigation, Davis Police Chief Darren Pytel was warning residents of this bike-loving city of 68,000 to avoid going out at night or walking or biking alone until the perpetrator is caught. The spate of seemingly random and brutal attacks has left 2 men dead and 1 woman in critical condition fighting for her life, saying chill through this normally low-key college town just west of Sacramento. Until last week, Davis had not had a reported homicide since 2019, this according to local officials. The suspect, based on witness descriptions and the nature of the attacks, was behaving in a manner that was particularly brazen, the chief noted, and that obviously causes us significant concern. Monday's attack, the third stabbing in 5 days, was the most brazen yet, as described by the police. The chief said the suspect had been spotted by several homeless people camping near the intersection of 2nd and L Streets. He engaged in a conversation with the homeless people before walking away, then returned a short time later and stabbed a woman repeatedly through the canvas of her tent. So he's just killing homeless people. The suspect didn't seem to care that there were several witnesses nearby who had seen him earlier in the evening, Chief Pytel said. Okay, so he's 2 homeless people and 1 was just a jogger. So he's branching out. But he's kind of lurking around these jogging paths and these bike paths, and he's done this 3 times now since last Thursday. So police are like, okay, we got a situation here. All right, so an update on the Atlanta shooting situation. April says that, according to Lookner, there's no better source to be monitoring right now. The shooter carjacked a white Toyota Tacoma. Okay. That's, hold on, let me see here. There was a situation earlier this afternoon, actually just it's happening right now in Atlanta, where somebody shot a bunch of people right there in downtown, Midtown, I guess is the proper way to say it. What was I doing? Here we go. The person is on the loose. Police are looking for him.
Unit can clear whole paper and copy 54 at 100 Peachtree Place. 100 Peachtree Place, a couple of black males with masks on.
7064 calls in the area.
The playground area, near the playground.
They're still looking for him, apparently.
Go ahead.
91. Is that for Zone 4?
Negative.
Advise all Zone 2 units we're standing by at the precinct. They're not the code 8 until advised.
100 Payne Place.
Yeah, you said Peachtree. All right, I received.
Copy. Do we have a fast force unit in the area by any chance?
No, Payne Place. Payne Place.
All
That
right.
was a call where APS called it in saying a possible sighting of the active shooter male. Please, they had on MA1.
4150 to Zone 2. 5804 radio.
Go ahead. What's the data for? Go ahead.
Can you raise one of the units that's out on 970 City Marcus on this incident in Zone 5?
97. Come on, let me check. Running 14.
4150, can you go to TAC 1, please?
26 radio.
Okay.
Go to 300 radio.
Okay, they're switching off. They do this. This is one of the things that happens. So that guy who just called in is asking them to go to TAC 1, which is a completely different radio signal that they can use for private conversations among the cops. It sounds to me like that guy thinks he might have something. And that's probably what they're doing. So, April, I'm going to need you to stay on this, okay? She says, April says, I'm trying to find a helicopter live feed that a cop is following the stolen vehicle. Yeah, you know what? Look, guys, hang on a second. Let me just see what's going on here. Let me just jump into this, because if there's about to be a car chase and a takedown, that seems like something that we should watch. Because I am into that. Haven't watched a good car chase in a while. Boy, there was a couple of weeks back, I was just watching car chases to fall asleep at night. I'd put one on out of L.A. It happened every day. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can pull something good up here. Oh, you know what? Let me try YouTube. Is there a YouTube feed that maybe you could? I mean, I'm not gonna steal Lookner's feed because I admire him too much. I'm not gonna steal anybody's feed. I don't want to steal a feed, but I would like to see some kind of live coverage. Yeah, if you happen to find a link of some live coverage that isn't just another streamer covering it the way I'll be doing it, that's a little too meta for me. But if you find like some kind of news coverage or a helicopter shot or something like that, let me know. I would totally be all over this if I wasn't streaming right now. I would be getting these things up. But see, I'm preoccupied thinking, you're all sitting here in the chat room and all right, you know what? Oh, my, for crying out loud.
Switch over. 4 is restricted, and 2 is going to be Grady, and then 6 is going to be helping Zone 5 with their pending. That's the only 8 searching unit that we have. Yeah, I was looking for the call. 8 is going to be out on a 53. 10 is assisting with Zone 5. 12 is out on a stolen vehicle. No other units available at this time.
Okay, you can unrestrict 4 for now, and we'll try to get evening watch to get in service.
Receive. 304. Are you still going to be out of 865 King Aaron, or are you able to clear for dispute with the weapon?
Still out.
Copy. 304 still out, Sergeant.
2204 radio.
Go ahead, 4.
I believe it originally came up at Williams and 14th. The actual location was the Shell Station near 14th and OSP Street. Sorry. 14th and Springs. 1610 LaVista Road. Can you tell me if that's showing up in the city?
1510 LaVista.
2609. 82609.
All right. I don't know. I'm trying to find.
1610.
I can't find anything good that we can watch, like some kind of video. Maybe make this a little bit. I'm not getting anything out of the police scanner. I can't even understand it most of the time.
Just checking. Did you all locate a home at 1102 Joseph E. Boone?
Probably.
Okay, never mind. Let me wait one.
Revive?
It's not even trending anywhere.
I got me.
It's not even trending.
Question for MA1.
Messi got traded, so the whole, Twitter trends are all going crazy. And apparently there's some Korean band that's going on tour they announced. So, there is no room for actual news on Twitter trends.
100 is Georgia State Patrol helping us with 41s on the interstate today.
That's a negative. On Wednesdays.
Copy. Cheers, Carolina. We're out here trying to find this active shooter with you guys as well.
Receive.
2599 radio.
2599. Radio ready to Zone 4 supervisor.
91, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to check one last thread here to see if there's anything.
Code 12 and 8, they'll call back on a later date.
If not, we'll move on. All right, so we're seeing the pictures.
I copy the calls independent. We're in shift change here. You can watch here in about 10 minutes.
Briefing. 21 Peachtree Circle. The last 4 is 0942.
On that 45A, I think.
2175 radio.
Okay, so Atlanta Police Department is now reporting 5 shooting victims related to this situation. 4 have been transported to the hospital. A 5th was pronounced dead on the scene. Officers continue to actively search for the suspect.
call pending.
I'll be code 9 on that 21. Could you show me on an 89C at 2015?
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to move on off this. April, I appreciate you doing a little bit of extra work for us today. I put her, she's the producer in charge of gathering information related to this Atlanta story. If it does turn into something worthy of our time, she'll be the first to let us know. Hugh Morris says, shooters are so common now, it doesn't even trend. Isn't that a sad reality? Maybe that's the plan. Make it so normalized. Make it so that we're all just tuned out to it. Like the space race, man. We used to be totally into everything that we shot up into the sky. And then we started to just lose interest. Yeah, great metaphor. Like the space race. Everything doesn't have to be about the space race. All right, let's get back into what's trending. So we talked about the Texas manhunt. We talked about the Putin assassination. We talked about the UC Davis stabbing serial situation. How about this one right here in North Texas? Boy, oh boy, we got ourselves a political gunfight going on because Colin Allred, who is apparently the hotshot Democrat, Texas Democrat, Colin Allred, who shocking the world, upset Pete Sessions last time around for his congressional seat, a seat that nobody ever thought, could lose to a Democrat. Well, Colin Allred, he just swiped that seat away from a long-time conservative Republican Pete Sessions and never looked back. And now Colin Allred has announced, sit down, Beto. Colin Allred is running against Ted Cruz. Colin Allred. All right, so there you go. So it's a new Democrat. A new Democrat in Texas, Colin Allred, former pro football player. Handsome, charming, charismatic, beat the brakes off Pete Sessions when he shocked the world, and now he's going after Beto, or not Beto. He's already taken care of Beto. He told Beto, "Sit down, stupid. You have proven incapable of winning." So he's going after Ted Cruz. They're saying this could be the most difficult campaign of Ted Cruz's life in an ever-changing landscape of Texas. So anyway, that's a thing. And I started looking at it because I thought Pete Sessions, I knew Colin Allred is the guy who had beaten Pete Sessions. That's why I know who he is, right? But then I thought, wait, is he my congressman? Is he my because since moving here, I know that in Illinois, I live in the Illinois 2nd, and Robin Kelly is my congresswoman. Robin Kelly, who you have never heard of because she's a real congresswoman, because she actually does work and stuff and stays under the fray. See, that's a thing. That's a thing that we don't really recognize about Congress. You know who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is, but I bet you don't know who your own congressman is. I bet you don't, because most of us don't have a firebrand crazy congressman. Most of us has a congressman who you've never heard their name before because they don't go on TV, because they just keep their nose down. Maybe they're corrupt pieces of shit. I don't know. That depends on your community and your situation. You make that decision. Maybe they are. But thing is, they just keep winning re-election because the only people who know them are the people in their little district. And they like it that way. They don't want any. They have no aspirations to run for higher office. Look. There are people out there who know, the rep from, Minneapolis, right? Isn't that one of them crazy squad chicks? I don't know. You shouldn't know that. We shouldn't know. You don't know. Most people do not know who their own congressperson is. And right here, let me be the first to say, I had no idea. I thought maybe this Colin Allred guy was here in beautiful Highland Park, Texas. I thought it would be strange that we would have Colin Allred, but I thought Pete Sessions. And it turns out that half of this area, this University Park area, was Pete Sessions, and the other half was somebody else. So anyway, as it turns out, I currently reside in the Texas 24th. Now, I had no idea what congressional district I was residing in here. And I certainly had no idea who my congresswoman was. And you know why? Because I've never heard her name before in my life. The congresswoman who currently represents me now, I told you, Robin Kelly, I knew Robin Kelly was my congresswoman in Chicago. She's quiet. She doesn't cause trouble. She's good. I like her. But when I moved here, I got this other one. I got a woman here named Beth Van Doyne, okay? Duyne. Texas Representative Beth Van Doyne. Never heard her name before. She sits on no committee. She obviously gets no mic time. She's just there making the sausage. See, all the other people that are in line, they're all there. The reason you in rural Texas, the reason you know who the representative from Brooklyn or Bronx or wherever the hell it is AOC is from is because you've been stirred up. You shouldn't know that. You shouldn't know. You didn't know the person she replaced. Who did she replace as congressman from that district? See, you don't know. You just know because you've been stirred up against the individual who has absolutely no power over you or anybody else. She's not a ranking member on any committee. I don't know what committee she sits on. I know she gives speeches. She's allowed to give speeches, but that's about it. That's the extent of her power and influence. She's a lightning rod. Yet there are people in Nebraska who know about her and don't know their own guy. I did not know who Beth Van Doyne is. So I wanted to do a little bit of a look into what Beth Van Doyne is getting into. All right, this is folks, you never heard of her. You know why? Because she's doing the important stuff. She's making the sausage quietly. You want to know what my representative has made her top 2 issues? Here we go. Now remember, the idiots are out there talking about Bud Light trannies and, all that kind of stuff. That's what the idiots are doing. Here's what's going on for the person who represents Highland Park, Texas, Beth Van Doyne. Are you ready? Oh, wait, where is it? Oh, I can't build it up like that. I can't build it up and not. Yeah, all right, let me see here. She's got 2 bills that she is pushing. Remember now, this is my congresswoman. She represents a couple of guys who own NFL football teams. She represents a couple of people who own oil companies. She's representing the regular Joe. I'm sorry, this is taking a second. There it is. I want to get it right. I don't want to like accidentally, because I was shocked. I didn't know who this lady was. All right, here we go. Okay. Yeah, see the details. All right, so this is a congressperson who you don't know anything about because you don't pay any attention to her because she doesn't draw attention to herself. She's just quietly here representing the 1%ers of Highland Park, making the sausage. She's got 2 big bills that are in her hopper. Do you know what they are? You know what the most important thing to my representative is? Quietly behind the scenes getting this done? Well, she wants to amend the Internal Revenue Code. That creates a safe harbor for certain perpetual trust funds. That's right. That's what my girl's doing. She's making sure that rich kids don't have to pay taxes on their inheritance. And she's doing it quietly. And she's getting that shit passed. And she's not drawing any attention to herself about trannies and guns. No, nobody knows who Representative Beth Van Doyne is. But I'll tell you, she's far more powerful legislatively than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So there you have it. That's her big thing. H.R. 32, introduced in January of this year, authored by Beth Van Doyne, U.S. Representative. H.R. 32 to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to create a safe harbor for certain perpetual trust funds. So a safe harbor for kids who get like $5 million a year annually so that they don't have to continually pay taxes on that. That's right. That's what's being done behind the scenes. That's the quiet stuff. They're stirring you all up and they're distracting you. You know why? Because they know that even the most ardent, in-step Republican dude right now who drives a pickup truck and works and is struggling to put his kids through college, they look at that bullshit and go, oh, wait a second, Silver Spoon Johnny doesn't have to pay taxes on the $5 million that old Grandpa Moneybags left him? That, they know that everybody would be against that. So you got people like Beth Van Doyne representing, behind the scenes, being quiet, doing this stuff, making the sausage. Here's her other big one. This is the other big one that she's pushing. H.R. 1477 to amend the Internal Revenue Code. Again, it's all about taxes for rich people. She was put in Congress to make the sausage. Quietly. Don't draw any attention to yourself. Nobody's going to know your name. But you're going to put these bills through and they're going to get voted on and nobody's going to pay attention because they're boring. Internal Revenue Code to permit certain expenses associated with obtaining or maintaining recognized post-secondary credentials. Okay, so what this is now, like if you're a surgeon and every year you have to get recertified, and maybe that's just, I got to send $500 into the government to be certified as a... She's got a bill that doesn't want to make surgeons. She wants them to be able to make that a tax deduction. Is basically, that's what it is. Okay, so she's got two bills. One is to protect silver spoons from their, yearly giant trust fund inheritances. She doesn't want them to be taxed at all on that stuff. That's not income. That's just their money. And then the other one, she wants to save surgeons $500 a year. Those are her two big. She's doing it quietly. You don't know who she is. You know who all the idiots are who are talking about the idiot stuff that is just designed to distract us from the fact that there's some poor surgeon out there who makes $15 million a year who is just really irked that he has to pay $500 every year annually to reestablish his credentials. That's just, you know what? I'm going to donate a couple grand to your campaign. Can you take care of this for me? Done and done. Did it right away. Yeah. So I guess my point is this. It's all so corrupt, and it's all such a game, and this whole partisan thing is a game. A guy like Colin Allred, who is now running against Ted Cruz, here's what I would suggest you do regardless of what party you're on. Ted Cruz is an obvious dipshit. I don't know enough about this Colin Allred guy. But just take a look at the two men, measure them, and say which one seems more honest. And that's how you should vote. Because, again, these people are all super corrupt, and they're running a game on us. They're controlling everything. Now, it's not to the extent of, it's a puppet master and we do everything. No, we have our own free will, but they are very good at anticipating the bad decisions that we, the great unwashed, will make. And then they exploit those. They set up situations where it's easy for us to be tempted to make bad decisions, like, I don't know, credit, houses we can't afford, that kind of thing. And then they trap us. Wake up! What else do we have here? Ooh, this is crazy. Okay, so we got to talk about this one a little bit. I've been avoiding this story. It's been going on all week. I've been avoiding this story because... Hold on. It just seemed petty, and quite frankly, they were designed as gotchas. And I saw a couple of them, and I went, "You didn't get him. I don't think you got him. I think he comes across fine in that video." And I'm talking about the endless leaking of anti-Tucker Carlson materials from Fox. And it's coming from Fox. It absolutely is. Fox is trying to justify slowly and through little drip by drip leaks that they're putting out why he had to go. So they're releasing videos and I'll give you an example. There was one video the other day where the headline was "Tucker trashes Fox Nation. Gotcha!" Right? And it was a video of Tucker Carlson off camera. I mean, he was on the set of his show, but they were putting makeup on him. He obviously wasn't during the show, but they were still recording. And he's talking to a producer from a Fox Nation show on the phone, and you can hear the producer on the phone, and Tucker's telling him that he's getting tired of providing content, endless content for Fox Nation when nobody is watching it on Fox Nation. Why isn't this content being put on the regular network? That was his argument. And Tucker was also taking up for other producers and contributors who were giving their stuff, their creative content, to Fox Nation. And then Fox Nation was keeping it, and they weren't being allowed to play it on, the regular Tucker show or whatever. So Tucker was sort of advocating for these people, which I thought was admirable. And yes, he said Fox Nation sucks and nobody likes it and, basically trashed the whole platform. But so what? So what? That's the gotcha. It does suck. He's right. Come on, that's not a big deal. What I thought was the bigger deal was that he seemed to be advocating for people who were creative, who were content creators, who were getting jobbed by now contributing all their work to this Fox Nation. So it wasn't the own that I thought it was. And then there were a couple other ones. Yeah, there's another one where it's like Tucker Carlson refers to one of his producer's girlfriend as, quote, yummy. And then I watched it and I'm like, well, Tucker seems fucking charming. He seems like, again, this is another situation where he's not on camera. The show isn't happening, but he is being recorded and he's talking with his staff and he's interacting and talking with his staff in a way that is rare. Like, he's being nice and jovial and they seem to have fun. You hear people shouting off camera and he's laughing at their comments. You know, this isn't Bill O'Reilly. You know, Bill O'Reilly was shut up and do it. You know, it's a totally different kind of thing. And somebody mentioned somebody's girlfriend and Tucker goes, oh, she's yummy. And that was it? That was the get? We got him! I'm like, that's just a cartoonish way of telling a coworker that his girlfriend is attractive, which, I mean, depending on your relationship with the guy, I guess that's going to determine a few things. But that's not so I've been avoiding these Tucker leak stories, but today they put out some texts. And these ones I want to talk about because it's very interesting and it leads to a much broader conversation. So Fox, although Fox is saying, what? We're not releasing anything. You know, Fox is like, who, us? Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Of course it's you. Who else had access to your archives? Who else had access to B-roll from, 5 years ago on the Tucker Carlson? You. Of course it's you. Stop it. Well, we could have been hacked. No, you weren't hacked. Because you know what? If you were hacked, good for you. Because this is really, you're trying to make it look like, you're trying to justify why you fired a guy that everybody's pissed at you about firing now. And it's stupid. What? Us? Yeah, you, Fox. Come on. But we love Tucker. Stop it. So the text came out today. Today there were some texts. Here's what's troubling about the text. I'm going to read them to you, okay? This is a conversation between Tucker Carlson and his producer. Here's what he says. This is Tucker Carlson texting. And by the way, I will read it, but while I read it, it's so hard. It's so hard not to read this and hear it in Tucker's voice. I totally hear it when I read it. He even texts the way he speaks, is what I'm saying. So here's what he texts, okay? A couple of weeks ago, I was watching video of people fighting on the street in Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1, at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. All right, so there you go. All right, so that's just, but I totally hear it in his voice, Hold on, and there's more. Don't jump ahead. There's more, and we'll get to more. Context is important with all things that I offer you. So that's it. That's it. So I don't know. I know what the problem is. All right, I'm burying the lead here as far as what the problem is. But let's take this first text apart. He's just, all he's doing is talking about you've never raged with your friends. Fucking traffic. I want to get out and I want to kick the head in of everybody in every car that is causing this traffic jam. Come on, man. That's just, we rage. None of that is real. See, he's a murderous Nazi. He wanted to, no, he wasn't. He's just a dude texting somebody that he thought was a private conversation, just getting a little weird. Sometimes we get weird. I mean, I don't know that I've ever had a heartfelt conversation with somebody about my conflicting response to the idea that I might enjoy murdering somebody. I don't know that I've ever done that via text. So that's heavy. Thoughtful dude, I guess. I guess he's, I don't so much have a problem with that. I don't have, the fantasy of it. Sometimes I just want to see, that I get. And as long as it stays a fantasy, and as long as you're of sound mental mind, then go ahead, enjoy all the fantasies you want, because your strong mental mind is going to make sure that those fantasies stay in the fantasy box and don't, spill out into the public. All right, so the problem is obviously this sentence. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1, at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how a white man fight. Okay, that's the problem. All right, so here's the problem. And it is kind of a problem. It bespeaks when people use the phrase institutional racism. That's just racism that is baked in. It's just, you can't do anything about it because it's just how the mind works. It is a thing. This is an example of it. I was at a meeting with a group of people once, and it was a bunch of normal middle-aged white guys in this meeting. And one of the dudes in the meeting, the dude that was in charge of the meeting, the top guy, leaned back in his chair and he said, "Yeah, and hopefully we can all start getting paid like a white man." It was just so casual the way he said it. This was like 5 years ago. It was just so casual the way he said it. And I'm looking around the rest of the room and everybody's kind of like, yeah, sometimes it says stuff like that. See, that's the kind of casual. My problem with that kind of thing is that I don't necessarily... See, we need to split hairs when we're talking about racism. Calling somebody a racist has all kinds of connotations, all right? Racists, Nazis were racists. They tried to exterminate a group of people based upon their race. The final throes of the Ottoman Empire, they were racists. They were trying to exterminate the Armenian people from the face of the earth. The Ku Klux Klan, they were racists. Slavers were racists. Anything that leads you to think that you are somehow superior to somebody else based on nothing more than the color of your skin is what a racist is. But somebody who says, like this guy I'm describing, yeah, maybe we can all get paid like white men. Somebody who says that is not a racist. I don't think that guy thinks he's superior to black guys in every way. He's a bit bigoted, That's a racially insensitive and bigoted thing to say. But when we call them a racist, man, it's just like we need to stop doing it. Everything we need to have other words, because if we don't make a distinction between the wide varying degrees of racism that people encounter in this world, then all we do is diminish how bad the actual bad ones really are. That's just my thought. So Tucker Carlson, he says that he's watching a dishonorable fight, and then he says, this isn't how white men fight. So what is the suggestion there? The suggestion is that he was disappointed in these white Trump supporters for not fighting honorably as white men should. The suggestion there is that other races do not fight honorably. So that's troubling. I mean, that's kind of troubling. Tucker Carlson. I wonder if when he was texting that, when he was texting that, did he pull up at all? Did he pause? Was there a moment where he's like, what, man? Did he go back? And then was he like, well, I don't know. I'm going to try and shock this girl. She's cool. She won't say anything. And then forgetting that these are company phones and that when you guys get fired, the company will just take all the phones and all the text messages and they'll have all of this stuff. Should someone want to sue you for a couple $2 billion and a judge orders discovery, you got to have all that stuff. So, yeah, he probably shouldn't have typed that on a Fox phone. Tucker's not infallible. Tucker made a mistake there. But that is troubling. So I'll read you the text again. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching video of people fighting on the streets in Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Okay. Now I'm going to read the second part because, you may not hear the second part everywhere, but this was also in the redacted text messages. He goes on to say, then, somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being. Much as I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally, I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I shouldn't be bothered by it. I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by his suffering. I should remember that somewhere somebody probably loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. If I don't care about those things, if I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is? And that's the second half of that text. That is a bit of self-examination that I dare say 99.9 of us never engage in. So that was actually weird when I read the full context of the text and going back between the two of them. So that's actually, give credit. I give credit there. Self-introspection, right? Taking a look at some hard and fast belief and going, but wait a second. Let's go one step further on this. What happens next? Then what happens? Then what? That's good. That's good. Now back to the problem about him not thinking that white men should fight dishonorably. Why? Because white men are somehow morally, I don't know. Anyway, that's what's going on. Those are Tucker texts. Beep. He shouldn't have said that. He should not have said that. He shouldn't have said that. And the fact that is the kind of thing that he would easily just use as a descriptor for a situation. White men don't fight that way. That white men, the idea that, he makes this distinction between white men and black men at every level, not the least of which is street fights. Like every level. What other distinctions do you make? Well, they obviously can't be surgeons. What? Wait, what, Tucker? Wait, that's another one you make? It's telling, and for those people who are like, he's a closet Nazi, this doesn't help that cause. I mean, this certainly enforces that. But also, I have to give credit. I like the introspection. I like that there was a point in this text conversation where he was like, but that's wrong. That's not. I need to be better. I can't. This is not how we should live. Adam says that I am I think he's talking about me. Says, you are lucky to be white and not have to worry about that stuff. I don't know, maybe he's talking to somebody else in there. I don't know. It seems to me white guys of my age are most worried about everything all the time. There ain't a bigger bunch of snowflakes than dudes I went to high school with. Let me tell you. That's a thing. That's a real thing. Jesus. Let's talk about this. Here's another real thing. Jamie Foxx is trending. Jamie Foxx, beloved actor, icon. Where's he from? Terrell, Texas. Jamie Foxx. Things aren't going good for Jamie Foxx. Remember 3 weeks ago, he was admitted to an Atlanta area hospital with a medical disruption, I don't know, there was something strange. There was something, it was a weird way that they phrased it. 3 weeks later, Jamie Foxx is still in the hospital. And now, this is the first we're hearing about it. It hasn't been really publicized because everybody just thought, he'll be fine, he'll recover. But he never got out of the hospital. It's been 3 weeks now. And the family is saying, Jamie Foxx remains hospitalized. Friends and family urge... Pop-ups. Jamie Foxx remains hospitalized as friends and family urge all to pray for Jamie. I don't know what's going on here, man. Something bad's happening to Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is still hospitalized after his undisclosed medical complication. That's what it was, medical complication. He's been in the hospital for 3 weeks due to a medical complication. What is that? People close to him are asking his fans to pray for Jamie, according to a new report. While it's still unclear what the 55-year-old actor's condition is, TMZ reported that sources close to the Oscar-winning star say that he now needs all the prayers that he can get. Fox has been hospitalized in Georgia for more than 3 weeks, and doctors are running tests to figure out what exactly happened. Do they not know? The Post has reached out to Fox reps for comment. On April 12th, Fox's daughter, Corinne, 29, she announced on Instagram that her father was under emergency medical care. See, again, another weird phrasing. Jamie Foxx was hospitalized in Georgia on April 12th after suffering what they called a medical complication. Strange phrasing. Fox now reportedly awake and alert. This is back. This is from weeks ago. Fox is now reportedly awake and alert, is still in the hospital. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Family and friends are close. Anyway, I don't know. What are his family and friends saying? Corinne Fox, Jamie's daughter, wrote, "We wanted to share that my father, Jamie, experienced a medical complication yesterday." This was back 3 weeks ago. "Luckily, due to quick action and great care, he is already on his way to recovery." Okay, so whatever. There is no details. This is very mysterious, but he's now been in the hospital for 3 weeks, and his family is now, as of this morning, once again putting it out there. Pray for Jamie, because who knows? I mean, we don't know. We don't know. We have no the phrasing of what was he in the hospital? Well, he's under medical supervision. Is he in the hospital? He suffered a medical complication. Wait, what does that mean? Was he hit by a car? Did he have a heart attack? It's a medical complication. Well, yes, that's a big umbrella. Is he in the hospital? Well, he's under medical supervision. What is going on here? And in 3 weeks, nothing. Maybe, and, let me just step outside myself here for a moment. Maybe we have no right? You don't want people to know, you don't want people to know. We don't have a right to know. So I'm okay with that. But it just seems that we always know. So now we don't. And I'm like, what? I want to know. I got used to knowing. Now they're telling me I can't know. And then I have to be, honest about that and go, yeah, I get why I shouldn't know. I get that. But I was used to knowing because they were tough. I thought it was okay. You knew it was wrong. You knew it was wrong to know. Yeah, but it was there. And they told me. All right. Anyway, respect the family's privacy, but keep a good thought for Jamie Foxx because nobody knows what's going on there. Bob Lee. Bob Lee is trending again. Bob Lee has been trending the last couple of weeks. Now, he was a guy whose name we'd never heard of. We knew Cash App. He was the Cash App guy. Remember the Cash App guy who got stabbed and murdered on the streets of San Francisco by some crazy left-wing liberal San Francisco knife-wielding psychos? Remember that guy? Yeah, no, you don't remember that guy because that's not the story. Although that was the story. That was the story for the first couple of days. Bob Lee, one of these Silicon Valley billionaire guys, whatever, he started Cash App. He was in San Francisco. And at 2:30 in the morning, he was found stabbed to death on the streets. And, that started all the cries of violence, nobody's safe. Democrat-led set, you know what I mean? We just anything that we can start screaming about, we start screaming. We go off half-cocked. You know what? Because nobody cares about being wrong. Nobody cares. You just move on. People are wrong all the time. Hell, half the people that make comments on social media are wrong about what they're making a comment on. They just move on. So the chorus begins. Where was Paul Pelosi? Stuff like that. Stupid stuff. All right, so then the details started to come out, and it's like, no, that's not it at all. This dude was into some stuff. This Bob Lee, this was somebody that he knew. Then we found out it was his friend that did it to him, and that they were involved in something. Okay, so here's the story. All right, so we got the story. All right, so we now know what happened to Bob Lee, the Cash App founder, who was stabbed to death in a really fancy, ritzy part of San Francisco, which, again, for about 48 hours proved that Democrat-run cities are violent. Okay, so. So this guy, Bob Lee, Cash App. He's in Miami now, but he comes to San Francisco for a like a conference or something, and he hooks up with some old friends because he used to live there. And he hooks up with this chick, this hot chick, and he's a single guy. He's 38 years old. He's a Cash App billionaire, whatever. I don't know what he's worth, but he's got money. He's like, I'm a rich guy, and he hooks up with this hot chick who's also the sister of like a rival, not necessarily a rival, but another tech industry billionaire guy who Bob knows. So they run into each other. And she's like, you know, my brother. And he's like, who's your brother? And she's like, this guy. And he's like, oh, yeah. And so it's like they hook up. Apparently, Bob Lee, Mr. Cash App, he's a party boy. Ooh, did he love his parties. And he apparently got this girl like all gooped up on GOP, this sister of this other dude, this other tech industry guy. So apparently the sister was also married and was now cheating on her husband in a relationship with this Bob Lee, who she was doing coke with, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So then her brother, remember, he's the other billionaire. I don't even know he's a billionaire, but he's a rich guy. He's another one of these tech rich guys. He goes over to Bob Lee's apartment and says, come on, we got to take a ride. And so at like 2:30 in the morning, Bob Lee, the founder of Cash App, goes down, gets in the car of this guy. This guy pulls over into an alley and stabs him 3 times to death for getting his sister hooked on cocaine. That's what happens when you have a Democratic mayor. You see? You see? Mayors have nothing to do with crime in these cities. We, the people, have everything to do with crime in these cities. We do it! Anyway, this had nothing to do. This was just a bunch of rich guys who, you know, got a little sideways. Bob Lee, how new details turned a tech industry murder case upside down. I want to give you the names of those involved. After initial speculation of random violence, focus shifts to alleged drug use and interpersonal feuds. 1 month after the Cash App founder Bob Lee was found stabbed on the streets of San Francisco, his alleged killer will appear in court. Nima Momenti, that's his name. Nima Momenti is the guy whose sister got all coked up with Bob Lee, and he got mad. Nina Momenti, 38, a 38-year-old tech entrepreneur who reportedly knew Lee personally, will be arraigned on murder charges. Lee was found with multiple stab wounds in his downtown San Francisco in the early morning hours of April 4th. On April 4th, the tech world was stunned by the news that Lee had been found on a sidewalk, stabbed to death. Following the killing, many jumped to conclusions about the state of San Francisco's violence, despite statistics that show it. And then it just goes in to tell this whole sordid story. According to court filings, Momenti had confronted Lee about his relationship with Eleonisia, his sister, and an incident the day prior to the stabbing involving drugs. He got his hot sister all coked up, and then they had sex, and she cheated on her husband, and the brother was like, you can't do that to my sister. And he's got a name, right? Momami. Okay, so the girl's name, the sister, her name is Kazir Eliasiania, okay? And then the dude who attacked and killed his name is Momani. I don't know what his real name is. My point is this. They're not culturally American, right? This is like honor killing type stuff. That's what this is starting to look like. This is starting to look like he murdered this guy because the honor of his sister had been. So, again, there's more details, but I think more are coming. ... Developing, as they say. Jenny Craig. Jenny Craig is trending. You know why Jenny Craig is trending? They're going out of business. Jenny Craig. Yeah, nobody cares about Jenny Craig anymore. I mean, Jenny Craig. That's how your aunt lost weight. You know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing cool. You can't. Jenny Craig ain't a cool brand. Jenny Craig is like your old fat aunt's brand, right? Don't touch Aunt whoever's. Jenny Craig made a lot of money though. Jenny Craig made a lot of money. Do you think Jenny Craig is fat? Like, I wonder if is Jenny Craig like what is her like? Was she like really fat and then she lost a whole bunch of weight and she's like, do it like me, Jenny Craig? No, it's not who she is at all. Jenny Craig was just an entrepreneur who put together a diet plan. She didn't even need to lose any weight. She looked fine. She became a billionaire. Jenny Craig. Jenny Craig's going out of business because nobody wants to use Jenny Craig no more. Jackson Mahomes has been arrested. Oh, this is fun for anybody who hates this guy. I try not to hate people, but Jackson Mahomes. Jackson Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes' brother. Jackson Mahomes is a D-bag of the highest order. Jackson Mahomes makes irritating TikTok videos and stuff where, oh, God. He's just so irritating. He's just so gratuitously trying to ride his brother's fame into some measure of social media clout for himself, which he's attained. It's worked for him. And that's why I'm resentful of Jackson Mahomes. He's a pain in the butt. He seems like a jerk, too. Doesn't seem like a nice guy. Seems like an entitled, arrogant, loudmouthy jerk. But you know what? So does Patrick Mahomes' sister, who is Jackson Mahomes' partner in crime wife, who is Jackson Mahomes' partner in crime in a lot of these irritating TikTok videos. So he's like, it's Patrick Mahomes' brother and and Patrick Mahomes' wife. It's like, oh, Brittany Mahomes. Ugh. I can do without. Jackson Mahomes has been arrested 7 o'clock this morning. The police, the SWAT team, they kicked in his door. They said, Jackson Mahomes, douchebag, get over here. Here's what he did. This has been ongoing for a while. He was at a bar. He thinks, here's the problem with Jackson Mahomes, okay? He thinks he is the king of Kansas City. You know what I mean? King of Kansas City. So let's get George Brett to have a conversation with this man. King of Kansas City. George Brett still walks this earth. No man can call himself king of Kansas City. As long as George Brett is still walking this earth. He walks around, he goes from bars, he's demanding, he's a complete pud. He's an absolute pud, right? So he does that. So a couple of months back, he's at this bar and at this restaurant, and it's too crowded, and he shows up, it's super crowded, he's got like 15 people up, Jackson Mahomes, and he makes a scene, and he shoves a waiter, and then he gropes and tries to kiss the owner, like, Jackson Mahomes, kiss me, baby, and then he gets thrown out on his ass. Now, this has been a couple of months in the making. There have been these charges. There have been an investigation. The woman who owns the bar, who was groped and kissed by Jackson Mahomes, filed charges. And here it all comes to a boil. Here we go. Let me see if I started from the beginning. Yeah. Here's what it says. In early March, troubling allegations arose against Jackson Mahomes, the brother of Kansas City Chiefs star quarterback Patrick Mahomes. 2 months later, Jackson has reportedly been arrested. This according to a report from the Kansas City Star. Police arrested the brother of the reigning Super Bowl MVP on a warrant for aggravated sexual battery. The Johnson County Sheriff's Office arrested Mahomes about 7 a.m. and booked him into jail at about 7:42. So that's when they come for you. You guys know that? That's when they come for you. They come for you at like 7 a.m., sometimes earlier. If the FBI is going to kick in your door, they're coming for you at 7 a.m. Don't worry. If it's 9 o'clock at night and you're like worried, you're looking over your shoulder, they ain't coming at 9 o'clock at night. None of those dudes want to work the overnight shift and do it. They're not coming. They're going to bust you. You're, you're running a gambling operation. You're hooked up with the mob. Maybe you're part of a cartel group, an arms group. I don't know, whatever. Like 5 a.m., between 5 a.m. and like 8 a.m., that's where they're coming. They're coming. Because the people are sleeping. People are sleeping. The neighborhood is quiet. There's less traffic on the road. They can cordon off an area. They can sneak in quiet. And you're home. They know you're home. Everybody's home. Unless you're a morning man. You're doing a radio show. Then you're not home. But yeah, that's when they do it. And they kicked in his door at 7 o'clock. Actually, I don't know if they kicked it in. I'm just glad that something bad happened to him because he seems like a complete tool bag. Here's really big news. This is really big news that I could absolutely care nothing about. Apparently Lionel Messi has been traded or whatever. I don't know. What words do they use? They don't call it being traded. They don't call it being DFA'd. I don't know what they call it, but here, let's read the story. Who's Lionel Messi? Good question. You probably don't know. I barely know. I only know because I like sports, and I watch all kinds of sports things, even though I'm not all that in. He's a soccer player, and he's a good one. People love him. Argentinian, I believe. Let's see. Here's the story. But anyway, this is like a big story. This is apparently in the world where people, maybe later. Yeah, we'll do that later. Come on. In the world where, people care about soccer, in the world where people care about kickball out of bounds, I don't get the sport. I liked, there's a whole bunch of, I understand the sport. I learned about the sport by watching all these Netflix documentaries about soccer because I didn't really want to watch a soccer game, but I was interested in how all of that thing goes. So I know about soccer to that regard, right? But I couldn't watch a game, wouldn't want to. Ball goes out of bounds so much and nothing happens for like 3 hours. And then the clock runs up, right? The clock runs up, but if you don't know I don't know what it's running up to. Like, what is it running up to? So I don't know how much time is left. It's like, we're almost at the end of the game. And I'm like, but when? When does the game stop? And then when the game does stop, it doesn't stop. Then they're like, let's just give them 7 more minutes to play. I don't get the rules of soccer. It's very weird. I love the idea of relegation. Love that. Love that there's a lower league and an upper league. Love that. Imagine if our NFL teams, all right, so we got the USFL, right? So what if like the worst team in football? Oh, geez, that's my Bears. That's actually my Bears. All right, we'll do it next year. We'll start it next year. What if like the worst team in football had to drop out of the NFL and they were replaced by like the USFL champion? And then the USFL champion, whatever city they're from, they got their shot to play in the NFL. That's what relegation is, and they have that in soccer, and I like that. Lionel Messi, Argentina forward to leave Paris Saint-Germain at the end of the season. I don't know what any of that means, man. The Argentine World Cup winner had reached an agreement in principle to extend his stay for another year, but neither club nor player now want to sign that deal. Messi is unconvinced the club can compete at the top of the European game due to financial issues, while the French champions want to focus on developing young talent. Messi signed a 2-year deal in Paris in 2021. I guess this is cool. If you're playing European soccer, right? So you're on one of the big European soccer teams. You play for Paris, right? That's like playing for New York. That's like playing for New York in Major League Baseball or something, right? Like, I imagine you want to play for like a team in London. You want to play for a team in Paris. Berlin would be a good one. Barcelona may be a good one. Rome? Does Rome have one? I don't know. Don't really hear about that. Anyway, Messi's walking away or being... I don't know. Dude, if you're coming to me for your soccer news, that's unfortunate. Here's what you know. You know something happened with Messi today. He ain't playing for the same team he played for last year. That's it. Leave it at that. Walk away. That's all you need to know. What's it like? So if somebody goes, what's something about that Messi guy was in the news today? You can go, yeah, he's walking away from his team in Paris. He's not going to play there anymore. And that's it. Now you look like you're the expert. That's the whole point of this show. That is to give you those moments where you can shine. Not me, you. Here's a story. McDonald's, a bunch of McDonald's in Kentucky got in trouble because they were hiring a whole bunch of 10-year-olds. I guess someone from like McDonald's corporate one day walked into like a McDonald's and saw like a bunch of 8-year-olds working behind the counter. It was like, hey, this can't be a thing. There's more to that story. You can just Google it. But yeah, is it Kentucky? Yeah, Kentucky McDonald's. Kentucky McDonald's chain faces federal fines for hundreds of children discovered working under legal working age, some as young as 10 and 8 years old. There you go. You walk into that McDonald's, you see a bunch of little kids. Now, if this was really like a concerted effort among this operating group, because it seems to be the same operating group that operated a number of McDonald's as franchises here in Kentucky. So, I mean, maybe is it just like the kids of the owners? Like that's a thing, right? Like, you're not supposed to work until like 14. I think you can get a legal permit at 14, but 16 is whatever it is. I don't know. My kid ain't looking for a job. Trust me, I've brought it up. I don't want a job. Get a job. I don't want a job. All right, I understand that. Get a job. You get a job. Oh, see, it shuts down that whole argument. My kid and I can't have that argument. But like, you family run a restaurant or something, the kids will work there. Even though it's not legal, it's still part of the family. I don't know, whatever. It says here hundreds of these little kids were working at McDonald's in Kentucky. That's funny. There are some concerns now about this ChatGTP. Do you know what this is? I don't know. It's a new religion is trending, ChatGTP. Apparently there are some concerns that an artificial intelligence with all the world's knowledge might just at some point create its own philosophy about things, and then presto, we got a religion, and then you just know people are going to follow that religion, and that's going to be the end of humanity, because people will begin to follow a religion created by an artificial intelligence. To which I say, okay, as opposed to what? As to the religions that we're following that were created by showmen? I mean, the people who wrote down the stories, these were writers. These weren't, this wasn't like, as soon as I finish cobbling, these were construction guys who were writing down, but these were the writers in the area. Hey, we got anybody who knows how to put words together? Well, all but 3 people can read around here. Yeah, he can. So, they're stories. They're stories. All of our histories are stories, whether they're religious or whatever. So if the prospect here is that some artificial intelligence, theoretically programmed with all the world's knowledge, is going to then use that, break it all down in fact-driven data and come up with maybe a way of life, maybe we ought to pay attention to that one. Maybe we ought to just give it a look-see before we worry about, but it doesn't have the soul of man. No, it does. It does have the soul of man, because all the information that is being programmed into this philosophy, this religion, all of that information came from a man with a soul. All of that information is human-gathered information. This thing didn't program himself. You can just plug this thing in, and all of a sudden he went downloading everything everywhere. I mean, it's like an aggregate. It's like, you just got all the information in the world, and I don't know. People are so worried about ChatGTP. They're so worried about all that. I don't care. Famous last words. I don't care. Kevin Costner's trending. Kevin Costner's trending because he's going through a divorce. Kevin Costner's having himself quite the roller coaster last couple of years. He's got, he was nothing. Costner was nothing. Costner was just a dead on the trail icon. Hollywood icon. National treasure. Didn't think we'd be seeing him. What's he going to do? Play old men now? We don't want that. Then Yellowstone comes around. And all of a sudden, the entire country's like, oh, yeah, Kevin Costner, remember him? We love him. He's like A-list superstar. And then Kevin Costner gets back up. He's like, I'm Kevin Costner. So then the movie roles start coming again. Hollywood starts going, hey, we forgot about Kevin Costner. Didn't he call somebody sugar tits? No, that was Mel Gibson. Oh, yeah. Hey, let's hire Kevin Costner. And so they hired Kevin Costner again. Kevin Costner's getting movie roles. He ain't got time for his little TBS Yellowstone anymore. So Kevin Costner's like, he's on the outs with Yellowstone. Because he's like, hey, don't know if you knew this before you signed me, but I'm Kevin Costner, movie star. And I'm doing TV here because there were no movies being offered. But now Kevin Costner, movie star's back. And so he wants to go off and do his movies. He don't want to do Yellowstone anymore. All right, someone needs to tell him that nobody sees movies anymore. Somebody needs to tell him that if the end goal is to be famous and to have people see him and respect his artistic value as an actor, way more people see Yellowstone than is going to see whatever stupid-ass movie Kevin Costner has. They ain't making any more Bodyguards, Kev. Sorry, unless you can, fit into a flying suit. Get yourself inside the DC. Is he? It's Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner's got to be. Superman, he is. There you go. I totally forgot. Kevin Costner's in the DC universe already. Okay, all right. There might be some Superman work. They can bring him back. He's the what's his name? Kent. He's the Kent. You know how Superman falls to Earth and is raised by the Kents? He's the Kent that raises Superman. Anyway, Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner's trending now because his wife's leaving him. Oh, boy. Yeah, well, Kevin's feeling up. He's got these movie roles. He's a movie star again. And his beautiful wife, and she is beautiful, his beautiful wife, who he's been married to for 19 years, is now 48 years old. So, he got her when she was like 30. She's beautiful. She's like not famous. Kevin Costner, I like the movie stars who do it the right way. The movie stars who, look. Do you know how many just absolutely jaw-droppingly beautiful women there are out there walking around who aren't famous? So I never understand why these guys who can get these jaw-droppingly beautiful women, they gravitate towards other famous women, which is just going to be a problem. You don't want to be with, you don't. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. You guys, Brad Pitt should have been like with the hottest waitress at the Cheesecake Factory. That's who Brad Pitt could be happy with. And she'd be hot. She just wouldn't be, she wouldn't be as recognizably hot as, say, Angelina Jolie. So Kevin Costner did it right. He got himself, she was like a makeup artist, and she was with him for 18 years. They got like 4 kids, and now she's like, I'm out of here. She's 48. She's going to get that Yellowstone money. She sees Kevin making bad decisions. I think she sees that he's not riding out the Yellowstone thing. So she's going to cash in now. And Kevin Costner's, there you go, ladies. Kevin Costner's back on the market. Who's he going to be with? Is he going to go real young? Like, I bet Kevin Costner goes young. I bet you Kevin Costner starts dating girls in their 30s. Kevin Costner and Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, I want to see that. All right, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is trending today. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced their 2023 class of honorees, as well as a couple of snubs, a couple of people who did not get in. So let's go through this, shall we? Okay. First and foremost, I don't know. I love the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I watch it every year. I think it's a great, great show. It's fun. If you love music, it's just a fun night of celebrating music and funny and nice and cool. They do cool little documentaries about each band before they go in. They're usually like 10 minutes long or something, and they're really good. I don't know. It's good. I enjoy. I did super jams, at the end where it's just all of these legends just cranking out songs that because they're by bands that just went into the Hall of Fame. Very cool. It's a very cool thing. And I know it's really easy to be one of these guys that's like, did you see the new Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Did you see what these idiots call rock and roll? I mean, there's nothing interesting about that take. Nothing. That take happens every single year by absolutely everybody. Concerning the 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, however, let me just say this. Did you see this? Did you see what they did? It's unavoidable is my point, folks. Every year it's irritating. And I try to be better. I try to be. All right, so let's go through the people. I'll give you my hot takes on all of these people. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame reveals class of 2023. First and foremost, Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson goes in. Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson's not rock and roll. Oh, Willie Nelson is more rock and roll than you'll ever be. Willie Nelson embodies rock and roll. Willie Nelson said to the Nashville establishment, I'm going to Austin and calling myself an outlaw. And he built an entire scene. Shut up. Yes, Willie Nelson. Of course, Willie Nelson goes in. I mean, we need to stop being stupid about what rock and roll is. Rock and roll is culture. Rock and roll isn't, it's gotta just be a guitar and drums. No, rock and roll is a cultural attitude. Rock and roll is a vibe. Rock and roll is a thing. And let's be honest, this is now the National Music Museum, so we gotta let Willie Nelson in. Willie, come on in. He's coming into the 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, also going into the rock and roll. Oh my God. Oh, people are just so happy. So happy. This is just so long overdue. Ladies and gentlemen, going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class of 2023, the super famous Kate Bush. Kate Bush is going into. Kate Bush does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Not because she's not rock and roll. Of course she's rock and roll. But because she's not successful. She's not... Kate Bush got voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for one reason and one reason only, because a whole nation filled with 15-year-old girls discovered the song Running Up That Hill last summer because it was featured in Stranger Things. And all of those kids voted. All of those kids. Look, I like Kate Bush. I thought it was super cool that Running Up That Hill, after like 25 years of being completely ignored when it was first released, I thought that was a great song. Always did. And to see that, 25 years, 20, 35, like almost 40 years, like 35 years later, well, 30 years later at least. 30 years later, that song comes back. And I thought that was great and good for her. And I remember thinking, man, she's going to be running that mailbox. She's going to be cashing those checks because Stranger Things is pumping some money into the Kate Bush music account like never before. But that doesn't mean she suddenly has a resume of 15 number one hits, 5 platinum albums. She was great. She was influential. But you know who she wasn't half the artist of? Tori Amos. Is Tori Amos in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No. Tori Amos didn't have a song featured on Stranger Things last year. You know she's not bigger than Sarah McLachlan? Is Sarah McLachlan in the Rock? You know she's not bigger than Natalie Merchant? Is Natalie Merchant in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No. This is some bullshit. This is why the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has no credibility. Kate Bush is a wonderful artist, but she is not in the league with people who go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's just not. I'm sorry. There are people who I love, bands that I adore, that don't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They just don't belong there. They just didn't have that many hits. So yes, I got a bit of a problem with Kate Bush. Willie Nelson? Yes. Kate Bush? No. All right, here's another one that's going to anger some people. How about Missy Elliott? Missy, Misdemeanor Elliott. I got no comments on her. I don't know. I'm not familiar with her. I guess she's important. What? Does she belong? She's not rock and roll. Again, stop it. Hasn't been the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, honestly, in 10 years. It's a rock and roll is a wider idea. It's a concept. It's a philosophy. It's a celebration of American popular music. That's what it is. They just called it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Okay, who else do we got? Missy Elliott. Sheryl Crow. Sheryl Crow, ladies and gentlemen, going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Class of 2023. If it makes you happy. It can't be that bad if it may. Thank you. That's my American Idol audition. If it may. Sheryl Crow. Does Sheryl Crow belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Man, I really don't think so. I mean, it's like she had a number of hits. She had a nice run in the 90s. She didn't sustain it. Like, here's what I would say. Sheryl Crow could go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame maybe in our 10 years. Let's put her on like the Stevie Nicks track. All right, let's let her wait a little bit longer. Maybe you could convince me that Sheryl Crow deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just don't think this year. It seems a little bit soon. I could say the same for Missy Elliott, but I don't know that much about Missy Elliott, so I just know she's famous, but I don't. All right, who else we got here? Rage Against the Machine going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They belong. Rage Against the Machine absolutely belongs. Good to have them in there. How about this note? I want your second. I want your love. Come on. George Michael, my neighbor George Michael's house, right around the corner. George Michael going in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Come on. There's a new documentary out about George Michael. Love it. Love George Michael. Love everything about him. Cool. He liked dangerous sex. He liked risky sex in public places. But You say that that's a negative. I say that makes him even more interesting. Come on. All right, George Michael. Look, all right, so all the kidding aside about George Michael, that dude was an artist, man. That dude was a singer and a vocal performer. That guy did things with his voice. I mean, I know you didn't, but did you ever really listen to how great of a singer George Michael was? And his vocal performances, his whole vibe, man. He's like, he was kind of like, I always thought of George Michael as kind of like a lesser Elton John. He could have been like on that whole Elton John thing. Come on! The Spinners. The Spinners are going in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, class of 2023. The Spinners. Absolutely the Spinners go in. Here's the thing. I don't know what the Spinners do. I know that I like the Spinners and the Four Tops. I like that whole kind of music. So let me just bring up the Spinners. Let's see what their body of work hit songs they got. Because I don't need to point out, Sheryl Crow seems to be going in a little bit early. And the Spinners are probably a bunch of 100-year-old men at this point. So how long have they been waiting? Let's look at what they got. What's this? All right. And this is the first one. It says this is the most popular Spinner song, and I don't even know this song. I got fast forward. I mean, I love it. I can tell you I love it. I don't know this song, though. I don't know this one. They got to give me a... Oh, boy! Here we go! The mud wrestling scene from Stripes. Remember? Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down my...
Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down my hat. Hurry now and don't be late, 'cause we ain't got time to chat.
What's this one? What an iconic opening guitar lick, huh? Yeah, okay. Spinners, absolutely. All right. What else do we got? Do they have more? What? All right. Good Lord, man. They made this band wait 20 extra years. These are all old men. Anything else from the Spinners? Let's see what this one is. Oh, this is 1979 roller skating party. It's an all skate for the next two songs. It'll be all skate after that. Grab the finest gal in the place. It'll be couples only. Couples only after two songs from the Spinners. There you go. All right, Spinners are in, right? We agree? Spinners go in. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's pretty good. And they've got more. I just don't have time to... Actually, I do. I've got all the time in the world. Okay. All right. Spinners. Very cool. I like the Spinners. Look at me. All right. Who else do we got here? George Michael and the Spinners prevailed in balloting. Others selected for induction by a select committee include Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan. Let me rock it. Shaka Khan. Let me rock you. That's all I want to do. Well, I feel for you. There you go. I just worked through that whole song. Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan's going in. Bernie Taupin's going in. That's, Bernie. Really? Oh, really? Okay. We're getting around to Bernie Taupin. Are we? 2023? We're just gonna slide him in. We're just gonna bring Bernie Taupin. Elton John's been in for 20 years. Bernie Taupin, oh yeah, the other guy. Yeah, the other guy. And Bernie Taupin is Elton John's partner. Not like that. Not like, not like writing partner. Like Bernie Taupin does the music or the lyrics. I mean, Bernie. So all of those like cool goodbye yellow brick road. That's Bernie Taupin. That ain't Elton John. That's Bernie. But Elton John wrote the music. Elton John's a beautiful musician, but he's stupid with words. And Bernie Taupin's great with words. 2023 is when they're getting around to bringing Bernie Taupin into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. Bernie Taupin should have gone in right then with Elton John, but no, they didn't do it that way. Don Cornelius is also making his way into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, class of 2023. Don Cornelius, of course, the former Chicago police officer who quit his job and started a dance party that the kids called Soul Train. Don Cornelius going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Al Cooper. Al Cooper was a session player. Link Ray was a guitar player and instrumentalist. Link Ray did a lot of... did Link Ray do a lot of the surf stuff? I think that's the kind of stuff that Link Ray did on guitar. Anyway. Anybody else? Who didn't get in? Let's see here. Willie Nelson just got in only slightly. Kate Bush. We talked about Missy Elliott, Sheryl Crow. There are 6 more inductees. Shaka Khan. Al Cooper. Lyricist Bernie Taupin. Link Ray. DJ Kool Herc from back in the day. I don't know who DJ Kool Herc is, but I do know that other rap guys from the 80s would on occasion reference DJ Kool Herc. Well, I don't know who he is, though. He's a Hall of Famer. That's who he is. Don Cornelius is going in. Anybody? All right, let's see who didn't get in. Anybody not get in? These 13 honorees will be celebrated in an induction ceremony. For anyone keeping score of the artists who didn't make it in, yeah. The 7 nominees on the general ballot who missed the cut with voters this go round. Surely the Hall would prefer no one call them snubs. All right, so here's who didn't get in. All right, so we went through who got in. Remember, Sheryl Crow is taking up space. Sheryl Crow got in. Here are the people who didn't get in. They missed the cut. People don't like these people as much, I guess. Remember, Kate Bush, who's got like one song that was a minor hit 30 years ago that reappeared last summer on Stranger Things. She gets an invite. But you know who doesn't get an invite? Here you go. Warren Zevon. Kate Bush gets an invite. Kate Bush. Missy Elliott's going into the Rock and Roll Hall. Not Warren Zevon. Not lawyers, guns, and money. Nope. How well was London? Warren Zevon should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Also, who didn't go in? A Tribe Called Quest. Tribe Called Quest didn't go. They didn't get in. They were very influential, a certain form of hip-hop. How about Iron Maiden? Iron Maiden, come on, rock and roll. Iron Maiden did not get in this year. Iron Maiden. Joy Division. Joy Division did not. I'm okay with that. Everybody's like, Joy Division is like so great. No, they weren't. They had one song. Love will tear us apart. Is that Joy Division? I think it is. They had one song. No, their lead singer was a genius. Their lead singer was a 19-year-old junkie who died at 20. He wrote 2 songs. Stop acting like it. Joy Division does not. Yes, when I was in college, I dated a girl who was really into Joy Division, and part of the reason that we weren't together was because I used to always point out how lame Joy Division was. Joy Division does not get in. New Order, though. New Order. This one upsets me. New Order got snubbed. New Order should be going in. Every time I see you falling, I get down on my knees. Is that New Order? I think it is. I don't know. New Order is just noise music. Like, I've got a whole Spotify channel of just noise music. You know, it's like New Order and Depeche Mode and all the stuff from that era, you know, that I like. some Nitzer Ebb. Yeah, stuff, noise music. It all bleeds together. But I know I like New Order. I think New Order, I don't know if New Order should be in there. I don't know. I shouldn't think about it. All right, how about Cyndi Lauper? Cyndi Lauper's not going in. No. Why not? I'm a nut in the middle of the night. My father said, what you gonna do with your life? Oh, did I tell you, know you're still number one? But girls, they wanna have fun. Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't deserve to go in. No, come on. Cyndi Lauper, she had like 9 months of fame where she was on the charts with one album. Beautiful singer. Then she crossed over into just being like a curiosity where it's like she's not making records, but she's showing up on the Match Game. You know what I mean? So she kind of like became that. And that's not, then she goes to Broadway. She doesn't belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's a cultural, I would consider her a cultural keystone of the 1980s. Certainly the female variety of 1980s cultural influence, but not a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. I mean, she's Cyndi Lauper. And I love her too, don't get me wrong. Her version of Time After Time is one of the most beautiful songs ever performed. It's just beautiful. Let's see, who else? So she's not going in. Cyndi Lauper ain't going in. How about Soundgarden? Soundgarden got snubbed. Snarden. Black horse, son, won't you come? And wash away the rain. Get your Seattle stinky ass off the Hall of Fame ballot. Soundgarden is not a Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Soundgarden was a great band. Good band. A lot of bands I liked. A lot of bands I like. Good bands. Hey, they coming to town? Let's go see them. A lot of those bands. I ain't voting for them for the Hall of Fame. Soundgarden, no. Besides, where are we drawing the line? How many of these Seattle bands are we letting in? First of all, first ballot Seattle band, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, Nirvana, Soundgarden, or Nirvana and Pearl Jam. We got that. Boom, then. But now what are we doing? What are we doing? Now we got a whole bunch of other bands that Soundgarden, Alice in Chains. Do we Stone Temple Pilots? I mean, they're from Southern California, but still kind of in that same, I don't know. Soundgarden does not belong. And I love Soundgarden. But come on, I'm being honest here. The White Stripes. No, the White Stripes do not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I have no doubt at some point Jack will go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Jack White. But I don't think the White Stripes. I don't know. Maybe, though. Maybe. Ross says Soundgarden is definitely Hall of Fame worthy. Okay. All right. Hey, man. This isn't, look, there is no math that proves you right and me wrong. This is just one of them things where it's just about taste. I can see it. I could have a reasonable argument. I just don't know that it's I don't know. That's why I'm saying, where do we draw the line? Like, who out? Like, who is worthy? Who is Hall of Fame worthy from the Seattle bands, from that scene? I mean, if we're talking about albums sold, and if we're talking about popularity, and if we're talking about, contributions, Hole is bigger than Soundgarden. Hole was very successful. Is Hole going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or do you just not like Courtney Love? So that's going to count against her. I don't know. I'd be willing to have that conversation. All right, the White Stripes. And finally, we already talked about it. Warren Zevon got snubbed. You cannot. Lawyers, guns, and money. Boom, 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 boom. It says here, Willie Nelson and Kate Bush are especially topical picks, both having been in the news cycle in the past year. Nelson's headlines came just this past weekend as he celebrated turning 90 on Saturday with a 2-night all-star birthday salute at the Hollywood Bowl. Although Bush has refrained from being in the public eye for years, that is a very generous way of saying that no one has given a shit about Kate Bush in 30 years. That is the truth of it. There was no, Kate, are you going to go on a global stadium tour this summer? No, I'm going to refrain. Nobody wanted her. Nobody wanted her. Generous. She's married to David Gilmour. All right? You already got the Pink Floyd stardom in that house. Kate Bush is not... Kate Bush... Her career is totally minimized every morning when she wakes up and looks at the guy laying in bed next to her, right? No matter how hot Kate Bush thinks her career was, she's got David freaking Gilmour of Pink Floyd right there. It's like, yeah, he's bigger than me. So she knows her place. She knows she doesn't belong. Willie Nelson and Bush are especially topical picks. Nelson had his birthday, and although Kate Bush has refrained from being in the public eye for years, her name was on music lovers' lips for months. As a sync placement on the TV series Stranger Things resulted in Running Up That Hill becoming a major resurgent hit. Boy. Yeah, okay, that's what it's about. That's when a bunch of 15-year-olds discovered Kate Bush. And then, I don't know, they were in some social media group and they went, everybody go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And now Kate Bush is in. But Warren Zevon's not. Hey, whatever happened with the Atlanta thing today? Look at me going late. I know. Look at me. Look at me. Giving you extra show because I love you. What happened with the Atlanta thing? Do we know? Do we get an ending to that? Hold on. Atlanta, Georgia shooting, active shooter. All right, let's see. 44 minutes, 50 minutes ago. Atlanta active shooter. Police have identified the active shooter. All right, let's see what we got here. Who is it? All right, it's a black guy. There you go. Now we've got real pictures of him. Atlanta active shooter. Police ID suspected Midtown gunman believed to have left the area. Atlanta police are currently searching for a man they say opened fire at a Midtown Atlanta Wednesday afternoon, killing one person and injuring 4 others. Do we know what the weapon was? Because again, this also helps me in knowing where to compartmentalize this. If it's just a dude with like a piece, doing that thing that they see in movies where they fire it like this, sideways, yo! Like if it's that, okay, I know what that is. But if this guy had an AR or something, and he's screaming like, ollie, ollie, or whatever, I want to know. I want to know. So it's important for me in the compartmentalization process to know what the weapon was. Because right now, I got to be honest, I don't know. I don't know what he is. He is a black guy, but he could be like a Muslim. So this could be terrorist. This could be just crime. I don't know. Could be anything. Hell, we saw a look. This is not the middle-aged white man's domain anymore. We saw this with Michigan State University just a couple of months ago. A 20-something-year-old black kid just decided he's going to randomly shoot people up. It's a disease that does not know racial barriers. Authorities have identified the suspect as 24-year-old Dion Patterson. Police say he is armed and dangerous. If you see him, please call, do not approach. All right. Atlanta police say they do not believe that the shooting suspect is still in the Midtown area. They have lifted the shelter-in-place advisory, but they are asking people to stay out of the Midtown area while they investigate. They also say that a video that is circulating online showing a man on a roof of a building in Midtown is not the suspect. It is believed that the suspect carjacked a vehicle near 14th and William Street. Initially, it was thought to have been found in the Smyrna area at a school. However, that's not the case. Police do not know where the suspect is at this time. Cobb County Police Department say that the suspects may be in Cobb County. They are advising residents that portions of Cobb County that border Atlanta may see heavier than normal police presence. All right. Well, they're just looking for him. All right. I don't know. The name, like, it wasn't like, look, we have to, we create these shortcuts because we're lazy, and really thinking these things through is difficult and time consuming, and who's got time for all that? Who's got time to be a thorough person? So, all right. So, look, I'm just going to say it. It seems like crime to me. It just seems like crime. Seems like some guy got a gun, went, yo, you disrespected me, and that whole thing. But it just so happened to occur in a public place. I don't know. And again, I'll say it. I'm more comfortable with that kind of crime. I'm not comfortable with any of the crime. But if we've got a rash of that kind of crime where it's just criminals, we can deal with that because we know where criminals hang out. We can at least approach that situation. But if it's just crazy people going, I hate everyone and bought a bunch of guns, gun, I'm gonna kill everyone. You can't game plan for that. So that one, that category, that troubles me. What are you gonna do? All right, folks, that's gonna be it. We're gonna be back tonight at 9:00. We're gonna do we'll do Pugs and Parker. Pugs and Parker with E, although I don't know that E's gonna be with us tonight because I think he's driving to the Kentucky Derby. Hell, maybe we'll call him. Maybe he'll be driving in. Tip the show if you can. That would be really appreciated. The show needs your help, so tip the show. Big news on that coming. Venmo, Cash App, all that stuff. Thank you, folks. We'll see you tonight at 9:00. Pugs and Parker. I got stuff I want to talk about. We might have a guest, too. I think we might have a guest. Who knows? We'll see. All right, bye, everybody.